The hell are you doing, cats? Just another moment, folks. Taking care of the last minute social stuff. Thank you for coming out. Apologies. Finals week and all that. So I suppose we're just going then. Hi. Mandalorian, Star Trek, more Super Geeks.
And welcome hastily to the December 4th edition of the Real Supergeeks podcast. We were introduced so wonderfully to the dulcet tones of Ross, whom we like to call, of course, the Eyebrows of Doom. This week we have a special and often recurring, probably not often enough recurring guest, Adam Isle, illustrator, designer, podcaster. Welcome this week. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to say this week. Also, I'm very much looking forward to what I think at least 2 rants from Ensign Beard Fosse, aka Jason Kovalik. How are you doing this week, Jason?
It was $100 gift. Freaking $100 gift. I couldn't wait until after freaking Christmas. Son of a.
Now you can recreate it.
Really you can recreate it. That's the beauty of it, man. All right, we'll get to that. And hailing, yes, there he is, saying hello, is the pantsless wonder himself, Sean P. O'Halloran. Sean, how are you this weekend? Of course, are you wearing pants?
No, I am not. Much like the Mandalorian has no ship, I have no pants.
Oh, wow. Spoilers. That's gotta hurt. Yeah, spoilers, folks at home. And my 2 favorite people in the world. Yeah, my 2 favorite people in the world, not necessarily in this order. Travis and Lane, how are you guys doing this week back in Colorado from your foray into my home state of Washington?
We're healthy. We are very healthy, thankfully. I had my ass kicked to jet lag for a bit, but you know what? We're all happy.
Andrew Schmidt, you bitch. Let's see. Wait, jet lag? It's a 2-hour No, it's a 1-hour difference in time.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. I had a flight out, and I got in Colorado. We landed at about 10:30, and I didn't get to bed until 12:30 or 1:30. It was a long night, and I only got 4 hours of sleep, and so for 2 days I was very much.
That's not called a jet lag.
Knock it off. You people are you're all night owls. I'm the guy over here that's just all right. Mm-hmm. And it's 10 o'clock.
You know, Travis, there is a very good way to make us shut up, of course, you know.
I know there is.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
I got my tea, so I'm calm.
That is always at your disposal. And Justin, have the recorder ready. There is our resident contrarian. We were afraid you were going to miss out on you this week. Sun Seal, how are you doing? As she rushes to get her.
Well, I thought I'd be contrarian and be late.
That's true. You're
So,
usually one of the
I mean,
early ones.
I'm usually here earlier than everybody else. So.
That is true. So you're entitled to a week off.
That's
You're
All
not
right.
the only one who is behind.
okay. I kind of started the show on Ross. You know,
I completely forgot that we were starting.
And
I forgot we were starting even earlier this week.
oh, that's true. We've been nudging towards early for the last 3 weeks, I think.
Which is good. I like sleep.
It is good.
Yes.
You people on the East Coast,
Sleep is good.
You are.
I have a
Your
3-year-old.
forbearance is
Need
appreciated.
it.
And last but not least, our stalwart producer, Justin Burton. Justin, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. Been a good week.
Excellent. Well, we have a lot to talk about this week, folks. So let's dive right in. We are.
Garfield's avatar.
What's that? Oh, what? That's right, son. We need your avatar for the week. We always look forward to that.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
okay.
you're just
well,
gray box right now.
Which is
well,
which is
I
a
mean,
good look on you.
if you guys are so interested, just we all watched the Mandalorian this week.
Yes,
We
especially
all know
Jason.
that this.
Stop it.
this is the way-
How did you got the Knuckles get involved in this? I don't understand this. What's going on?
I finally can make a button.
Out of
Do you know
nowhere.
the way, brother?
Oh,
Well,
of course.
there you go.
Okay,
No.
so
You know what?
I can tell this.
So
I
don't
can
care.
tell this story if you want. I can tell this story if you want. Do you want me to tell the story?
I know the
Go for
story, but feel free.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So what happened is there was a Ugandan film that was made where a guy is the most of the dialogue in this is really out there and crazy, like a bunch of international films, and VR Chat got a hold of the dialogue of this and ran wild with a crazy, like, goofy Knuckles character, and it just became an internet meme overnight. And the biggest thing that was said in the movie and became part of the meme was, "Brother, do you know the way?"
Yeah.
And
He does
That-
not know the way.
He does not know the way.
And by the way, there's a few of these films made, and I've watched them. And God bless these guys. They are putting their heart into making an amazing action film on like a bag of change. Basically, is what they spend on these films. And they for the incredibly limited budget these guys have, they're great. They're in the style of. They try to mimic American action films, and they do specifically 80s American action films, and they do an amazing job. Really, if you get a chance, just
Yes, they do.
go to YouTube and look them up. I think if you type in Ugandan action films, you will find
It makes for a great late night watch session when you're
do
bored
Die
and
Hard?
nothing better to do.
They don't do a Die Hard specifically. Most of their stuff, as you would imagine, takes place in jungles, and it works really well for their style. It's very good.
It's a fun watch.
It's good stuff. It's
the
really good.
the director of the films absolutely loved the Knuckles memes. He did so
You
much.
gotta embrace it. You gotta-
VR
You know,
chat.
it's
I haven't used it. I don't know if I ever will. But my God, if it isn't the gift that just keeps on giving.
Oh boy, it is for years and
And
years.
Lord knows we need some of that this year.
If it isn't Four Seasons total landscaping, it's the monoliths.
Yep,
That's true.
exactly.
That's
Yep.
true.
That's
They keep on popping up all over the place, apparently.
We'll get started in just a second. I did want to give one quick shout out to Travis and Lane, because Travis, who of course is one of the admins on Facebook's biggest Star Trek group, began his latest countdown, which is the 30 greatest antagonists in Star Trek. And how are we up? What, 28 or 27 today?
Today
Travis?
we did 27.
Yeah.
We covered Valeris from the Undiscovered Country.
Oh yeah, she had no she had no sideburns. She's the only major Star Trek character without the Star Trek pointed sideburns.
I love the Undiscovered Country, and I love what Valeris is in that movie. But I did have a small rant in today's entry.
She had a mo cut.
Yeah, she looked like Mo. Yes.
I'm not even talking about the hair.
Sorry, we're ignoring Andrew Schmidt.
Man, well, as we should be.
We aren't ignoring him. We're just passing on the information to all of our viewers without acknowledging
Yes,
it.
you know,
Correct.
it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Sure. Well, Travis, thanks for embarking on your latest project, and I think we'll continue to look forward to your recap each day of the 30 greatest Star Trek
Tomorrow's a fun one.
antagonists.
Tomorrow is a fun one.
Okay. Willing to give us a spoiler or?
Voyager, black and white.
Oh, that's a good one.
Were these villains?
Yes,
Yes,
I know.
he's a villain.
So Cybok is number 1, right?
Spoilers.
No.
If he is,
Starbuck wasn't the villain of that movie. God was the villain of that movie.
That's right.
It wasn't God. It was Alien pretending to be God, but the antagonist was Cybok.
Right.
Well,
Tremendous.
Cybok was a patsy.
Cybox, and the thing about it, and God, I think I'm too off on this, but there's a lot right with Star Trek V, and Cybox is not a bad.
Oh my God!
It's
Okay,
not-
hold on.
Carlos.
I have 2 words for you: Vulcan princess.
Carlos.
So there are Hawaiian
You're
princesses,
holding on
you know.
to your pain. You need to free your pain. You need to release it.
I got a
We're
question.
dropping
I got a
Meadow when
question.
you need him.
Yes, Adam, go ahead.
Okay, since we're all a bunch of Star Trek nerds in here, geeks, whatever it is, the alien from Star Trek V, the big head, was it the same species as the big head that the Next Generation crew ran into? I think it was their second season that appeared in their. It's like it had control of the ship or whatever. And he was like, "Oh, inquisitive," because he had no idea what humans were.
Oh, you're talking about that's from the Nth Degree. That's what you're talking about. That's 4th season. That's the Barclay episode where they.
No. He's talking about where they go into the big space black hole, and then there's the
There's a big head.
You're talking. Was it Nigar?
That
or
one
something
was
like
kind
that?
of-
No, not that one.
I think the episode is called "Where Silence Has."
No,
Not the big green head, dude.
Are
There
you
was
talking about the androgynous amorphous face?
No, not that one. There was another episode.
I love
where-
that right now we look like the Brady Bunch as we flail about with our Star Trek.
I can't remember the name of the. God, I haven't watched The Next Generation in so long.
There were a bunch
It's
of
the
big
end.
heads.
It's the
in
it was,
TNG.
but it was specifically. It was close to the same time period. Let's see. When did Star Trek V come out? 81.
89.
That was
89. So yeah, it
Yeah.
would have been in the same time frame, 89, 90,
That's
where there was a big. There was just this. I mean, when they finally meet the alien, it is a human head. It's just a floating head that appears on the bridge or on the view screen. I don't remember if it was either which one it was, but it is curious about humanity because it has no idea what we are.
Is
There's
it
an
the one
old
that
man.
just killed the guy at the op station because he didn't know what death was?
No, that was no, not that one.
No, not that one.
Not that one.
I remember that one. That one was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the one that's the one
That's
I
what
brought
I
up.
was thinking.
he looked
There was
like an
another one.
Ewok.
Actually the character looked very much like the character from Star Trek V, had the beard and everything, and I think it had a jewel in the center of its forehead.
that's the Nth Degree. This guy right here. Hold on.
Let me see.
Oh, I can do it.
Captain
Get it
Proton.
closer, and that it'll adjust once it's closer. There you go.
Yes, that
Yeah,
one.
that was the
That's
Nth Degree, yeah.
I was right in the first place.
They probably
Haven't seen that.
reused
I haven't seen Nth Degree in a while.
I'm just
that,
curious.
That face was quite different. I don't know if it was the same. That
No, I'm
that
not saying it's
race
the same
brought
person.
people to them. So I mean, it's possible that
Well-
the entity at the center of the galaxy was an outcast from their race, but I don't know if
either of
I mean, if you guys,
I don't see anything that would directly tie them together other than the fact that they're big, giant, floating heads.
With
This
beard.
just in from the big, giant head
With beard.
with beards.
show us what you got for Rick and Morty.
Okay, enough fun about that. Let us dive into this week's episode of Star Trek Discovery, The Sanctuary. We are now, 8 episodes into our 13-episode season, which is we're deep in, folks. How are we doing? Let's start off with a quick did we like it or not? And what are a couple of things that you liked or didn't? And then we'll go in more deeply into some of the topics. So let's start with our guest this week, Adam. How did The Sanctuary work for you?
I don't know. It wasn't as strong as some of the other episodes this season. When it came to episode strength, I still think the second episode was the best one so far. And I have my reasons. Namely, there was a certain character that had no part of that story, and the story was great because we finally got to deal with other characters.
Oh my god, that seems to be the consensus, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We have a crew. I mean, I've said it on the show before. We have a crew of people that are there's props. They're only needed when they need something on screen, and they can't have her on screen 24 hours a day. So
Pressing buttons.
I think that's an overstatement, but
okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
A little bit, but I mean, it wasn't a bad episode. It felt a little rushed. It was like
it was. Was it the shortest one this season so far?
I didn't have a look at the run.
It was 57 minutes.
Oh, was it? Oh, wow. Felt
or something to that effect.
But
I mean, it just still bothers me that this spaceship from a millennia beforehand seems to have all the answers. They're just able to do everything.
Well, you just described nearly every Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do when you have a fresh pair of eyes on a problem.
That's true.
That's true. That is true. But I mean, I think the things were too cute. The larva or the
transworms,
locusts.
The
sea locusts.
Yeah, the sea locusts are way too cute to be an evil entity thing. I mean, it's just like if you look at a locust, it's not the prettiest animal, and then you got these cute little firefly-looking things, and they're killing us.
On that planet, they may not be considered beautiful.
That's
and
true.
They weren't necessarily evil; they're just a displaced population.
Now, we talked about this on my show last night. How is it an empath, which is not a telepath, which means they don't have the ability to talk through minds, they are just emotionally attached to certain things? How are they able to tell a species what to do?
Well, they aren't literally telling them what to do. They are communicating their feelings to them. And the chanting is basically how they focus their feelings.
Yeah, but they're chanting to an insect. They're
chanting to one another in order to broadcast their feelings, their request, as it were, to the insects. Like they can understand, please go, please leave us alone. We like you, but please leave. Those are concepts that don't require words.
That's assuming that they have they have the intelligence to understand said feeling.
Well, I mean, a lot of animals understand feelings.
I'm being picky, as you can see, but no, it wasn't a bad episode. All the way around. We got to see a little bit more of Book, which I think he's a great character.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Sure.
I think the actor does a really good job, and this is another one of my issues with. I can never pronounce her name. She is surrounded by incredible actors, and she comes across as so wooden at times. It makes me hurt.
That's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people used to say that about Cisco.
Yeah.
And yet I thought he was one of the best actors I've ever seen on Star Trek. I think it's just one of those things where, some actors' style just doesn't resonate with some people, because I don't find her wooden at all.
Not wooden. It's just there's a range limitation, I think, that she has. And I don't know if it's the direction she's being given, because we've seen that in other actors like Samuel L. Jackson in the prequel movies. We know what he can do, and yet he was directed in a certain way that made him look like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Having watched her on like The Walking Dead, I think she has fantastic range as an actress.
Mhm.
I think the biggest issue is the material that she's being presented with, and I also think like it's she's having to play this hyper emotional role in the context of somebody who grew up on Vulcan, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's a lot. I think it's hard to, for any human actor to kind of portray someone who's raised in another planet, but then also, this person who's like kind of like in this like we're going to discover this emotion, all this, and I think she's written to be hyper emotional because of that, and I think that I do agree that that's a detriment to the character, and the writers need to dial that.
It is. It really is, because they've made it. I mean, she was very unlikable in the first season. She was an unlikable character surrounded by likable characters, and it was like, okay, by the time we got to the second season, the first half of the second season was incredible. There was more of an ensemble thing going on, and it felt more like a Star Trek show, and then they started gearing more towards, this is all about Michael again, and it started like, okay, guys, you did so good in the first half. What happened in the second half? And then we had this season has been strong all the way through. I think it's been more Star Trek than, say, the first season was. And I mean, it's got its little trips and stuff like that, and we have filler episodes. I was, as someone who has not been a fan of Tilly since the get-go, I was very much impressed with her filling the shoes of the first officer and being the first officer, which I loved. I thought it was great because she all of a sudden became like Tilly badass, and I was like, oh, check her out.
Yes, we'll come back to the topic of Tilly in a little bit greater detail. So we'll definitely come back to that. Let's go next to Travis and Lane.
As far as I'm concerned, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fairly solid. What's the word? Stable, like through and through. I didn't really have any like major like highlights that really floored me or anything like that, but I was smiling throughout. I was happy. It gave me like a little happy little feeling inside. I do believe that Jonathan Frakes knows how to direct a good Star Trek episode, and this was another good hit from him. And I mean, if there was something I had to pick that didn't quite work for me, I might get some groans, but I personally thought that the running joke of Saru trying to find his engage catchphrase, I thought it went just a little too long, because like it got a chuckle out of me once or twice, but by the time he was just like, carry on, I was just like, okay guys, this is a little silly now, like in a not very happy way. Like, don't do this to my boy, man. Don't do this to my boy. But I mean, like, I thought we got some really cool clues to the burn. I am looking forward to Giorgio's episode next week, of course. I thought what they revealed, what they like kind of showed her going through this episode, I thought was very intriguing. As Adam said, I was actually pretty surprised with Tilly and her role as first officer. What was the other thing I wanted to say? God damn it.
Yeah. If you think of it, you can always bring it up in a little bit. Quick question for Lane. How did he like the episode?
No, he liked it.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
we always want to hear from you, Lane. So good. Excellent. Okay.
He doesn't talk much. I know I do a lot of talking. I'm sorry, Lane. Can you forgive
That's all right.
me?
He his facial expressions say so much. Okay, so let's move over to our next person, and that would be Vincent Beard-Fassé. Jason, what do you think of the episode?
I thought it was a solid entry. Like, the hard part with these episodes or this series, and most series like it, is that you have episodes that are emotionally high and cause the feels. So, like last week, we had a lot of feels, right? We had the Vulcans, we had Leonard Nimoy as returning as Spock in that hologram. It was just so like it's unfortunate that this episode followed that episode, but I think in a lot of ways this episode was more important to the story than last week's episode was, if that makes sense.
It does, and I want to talk about that too when we talk about sort of where we are in the season.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
we'll come back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I feel like I think like we're all like I think everyone agrees it was a solid episode. It was entertaining, it was enjoyable. Like emotionally, it wasn't as like much of a roller coaster as last time. So like it's hard. Like that's why I don't like rating these episodes. So I give you badges because it's like it's not like it's a chapter in a book, and I enjoyed the chapter.
All right, very good. Let's see if we get a contrarian point of view when we ask Sun Seal. Sun?
So I have weird feelings about this episode.
Do you know you say that almost every week now in this season? You have complicated feelings with each episode.
Yeah. I'm really, really confused about some parts of the story, and then the I don't know what you would call it, coming out, I guess, of our Trill / not Trill, just our joined human character.
Yeah, of Adira, how she asked, or they asked to be called they.
Yeah, that was okay. I stopped the video and kind of cried for like 5 minutes. Okay. That was really emotional because that entire exchange between her and Stamets is kind of what every trans person wants, and it was rough. It was rough because it was actually really touching to see.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on in the episode, they completely blew out entire reality of all of that shit in its entirety.
Say more about that.
Because even I still have trouble being able to swap sexual tenses with people, and I'm a trans person. And here, Hugh and Stamets were doing it just nonchalantly.
Yeah, it helps when you have, like a director, a script supervisor, and and writers who help you out with that. I know when I've taught classes with people who a lot of younger people, and many of whom this was starting about 6 years ago when people were becoming a lot more comfortable about asking to be referred to by their preferred pronouns, and it took, I'm an old person. It took me a while, even when you think you're being conscious of it, it's really easy to let one slip by,
right.
and they will often remind you, and you just sort of have to take it in stride and not make too big a deal of it, but also own the fact that you did make an error. And so
right, and that's one of those growing things for a trans person as well, is that we have to take that in stride as too, because they're trying.
Right.
And I see a lot of my community doesn't like that fact that at least people are trying. That for some of them, it's like people should already know how to do it. It's like, no, It's not that easy.
Well,
language
doesn't work that way. Most of our, language in general, we learn it, and then it's just habit is what happens. So it's not something that's particularly easy for people to remember. It's language is muscle memory.
Right. Well,
I love what I'm seeing, but it's still very weird to hear someone individually be referred to as they. In my mind, it's always it's a plural. Right. So hearing it addressed to someone in the singular, it strikes that kind of that's wrong chord in my head, and interesting.
And now the confusion Riker was feeling when he told the Janai lady, should I just call you it?
Yeah, I mean, the they and the them thing. It's like I was trying to, because it took me a moment to catch on who they were talking about, because the way the dialogue was written, it's like when you're talking about someone, like, and they're standing right there. It's like, I'm standing right here type thing. It's like, it was like talking about someone in the third person type thing. It didn't seem very natural.
Right. Well, and like I think with Adira, they are a trill, so there are two kind of So that kind of made, but obviously when you're talking, I think Ross's point is right, because they them is we've grown up or we've thought of that as being plural, right? They are doing this, and you're referring to multiple people.
It's an indoctrination,
right?
What's kind of interesting though about that is more of a straight people thing, because those of us who are gay employed they as a way to keep the gender of the person we might be seeing deliberately ambiguous when we weren't necessarily out to people, and so we would use they as a way to refer to
it's a third person singular.
Yeah. So for some communities like ours, they was actually a pretty common way of referring to a single person when you didn't want their gender necessarily to be communicated. So,
at least it's less jarring than the HIR pronoun.
Oh yeah, those are the fake ones. I like to call them fake because they're too artificial. They're artificial.
Or XIR.
Yeah.
Sear here.
I find those pronouns I always thought to be kind of like, I don't want to say offensive, but like very like derogatory.
Oh no,
necessarily. I've met several people via online interactions who have used those pronouns. Mm-hmm. I've never ever heard them spoken in public or in person. So I maybe some people prefer them. I don't know.
I've seen the most use I've seen of pronouns like that is during self-exploration, and then once one settles into themselves, that's when you have the settling on the traditional pronouns,
which of course now includes they them, right?
If I had to choose a personal pronoun, it would be motherfucker. You guys will refer to me as motherfucker.
I'm weird. I don't have pronouns. I have adverbs.
You're Adamly. Okay. Excellent topic. Let's move next to the Eyebrows of Doom. How'd the episode work for you, Ross?
There was a lot to like about this episode. It was really cool to see Book's home, to get some insight into the character and to the people that reside there, the tension between him and his brother, finding out he's an empath. He has a son. He's doing his best to protect his home and his family, and made a deal with the devil to do so. We finally got to see what's the rest of the name? Osira. We finally got to see Osira, and I was really struck by her character design. After what we've seen in the past of Orions, that I expect to see the matriarch of a quadrant-wide criminal organization to look a bit more ornate, a bit more villainy. But she is in drab leather and
that stylish
covered,
leather.
No crown, no gaudy decoration. She's just there, but she radiates power and authority.
I was struck by her bangs, and look, they were cut by a 5-year-old.
I think that is an Orion thing, because if you look at the actor who played her nephew, I actually looked him up on IMDb. The guy has no hair. He's like a huge receding hairline. Right. So he had like this very bangy wig on.
Check off first season wig.
Yes, very, very much that. So I think it must be like an Orion thing they're doing this season.
I really liked her ship. If you know, I don't know if you guys caught it, but it's kind of segmented and separated, just like the nacelles of the Discovery. That there are separated pieces of the ship that have turrets on them that operate while Detmer was in her fighter in Book's ship, using it as a fighter, which was incredible. Loved that moment with her.
Detmer needs more screen time.
Yes, she does. She absolutely
does.
Side note, Wolfshippin got a personal log this week. The most dialogue she's had in 2 seasons, and I loved it. Let's see what else there. Tilly in her own as first officer, just being a total badass. You're not coming in here like that. Show respect that he deserves. She's the captain's attack dog, and she fills that role perfectly. And if you know anything about her character and the family she comes from, that bit of her mother is finally showing up.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting actually that when it comes to Tilly, I was expecting a lot of people to complain about.
I know, but we're talking about Star Trek right now.
Can you mute because we can't hear? Thanks. What was I saying? Tilly. Oh, I was expecting people to complain that maybe she changed too much in too little time. But I feel like they've done a pretty good job. If you look back at, her relationship with her mother, at how she behaved, when pressed to in the mirror universe, she's had all of this there underneath, building up and developing kind of under the radar for the most part, but still there for the past 2.5 seasons. So I was glad to see that once she was like literally empowered by Saru, she stepped up to the plate.
I also thought it was absolutely adorable that Saru and Tilly are shopping his execute phrase. What is there a name for that? Because his engage, I'll say that. They're shopping his engage.
No command.
We can always just remember what Carol Freeman said. Like, I really got to think of something cool to say before going to warp. Like, it's warp time.
Warp me.
Warp me.
At the fourth factor of.
The issue that in every other Star Trek series, it's been subtext, and it's weird looking at this as a writer when subtext is made text, and it becomes a little uncanny valley, and that's how this felt because all the other ones, it just sort of happened. It wasn't like there was never a conversation where you saw Pike conferring with number one about I think I'm going to try hit it.
Well, there's a reason for that. Because Pike has been captain for a god-awful long time at this point.
Even then, I would be surprised.
Up to this point, we haven't seen a new captain, a recently just promoted captain in the seat, except in the movie.
Cisco?
Cisco.
I'm with Carlos on this
but Cisco was in command of a starbase.
But even so, it's not the kind of thing you say, let's have a conversation about this, subtextual thing that we always do.
Cisco was in command of a starbase. He almost, until the Defiant got
That's not the point. I'm saying that it is labored writing. It is labored writing.
Settle down, kids. Settle down. I have a theory about this.
Lay it on us.
We did not see how that initial conversation, how that was initially brought up. I guarantee you, Tilly said that was of importance.
Actually, I would agree with that. That would be something Tilly would do. That is something she would
catchphrase, and Sir was like, "Okay."
I still think the joke ran a little too long.
So are we taking bets till Saru says spin us out?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I hope not.
Oh my god!
My guess is it's going to be something he stumbles on.
Hilarious.
He's going to stumble on something accidentally.
I'm hoping for two things: either Wubba Lubba Dub Dub or Shake and Bake.
No.
Shake and Bake.
Shake and bake.
Yes.
No.
Detmer. Shake and bake.
Yeah. Oh my god! You people are out of control. Okay, who hasn't gone yet? I'm losing track. Justin.
I liked it overall.
Great comment.
The part that Debner was flying and you see the joysticks pop out on manual control, you automatically knew that was a Frank's thing because of Insurrection.
Two joysticks.
That made it feel less like a video game, like it was in Insurrection, where it looked just completely silly.
So stupid. I hated Insurrection.
But it works here. It works.
It was the joysticks in the original arcade Punch-Out machine. I liked it. It worked.
Oh, what?
I actually really like the joystick in Insurrection.
You probably had one.
I've never had
you
a
had
problem
one.
with
I
I've never
hated it.
It was like an old school Thrustmaster.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about insurrection?
That is a good question.
Because Insurrection is one of the most underrated Star Trek films made.
Yeah.
Well, because it was underproduced, I think.
It is a
90-minute episode of TV.
episodic movie that offered nothing to the Star Trek universe.
I agree with Travis and Lane on that one. Okay, I think we've heard from everyone. So let's dig into some of the bigger themes of the episode and how it fits into this season. So let's start first with the antagonist, Osira. They've been building up to her all season long. And how many of you were sufficiently impressed by her now that she's finally made her appearance?
Yeah.
I would say that I enjoyed her first appearance. I thought
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Travis. I'm laughing at Grace.
I get it.
That's almost better than warp me. Okay, go ahead, Travis. You were saying about Osira.
I enjoyed her first appearance overall. I thought it was I will say that her very first scene where her nephew and she has him killed was very kind of mustache twirly. I kind of saw it coming in a way, but I mean her very much she made up for it with her discussion with the Discovery. I thought her banter with Captain Saru was actually very fun, very well done, and not too contriving, not too predictable. It was I very much
kind of felt. Do you think she kind of sounded like someone who's basically just kind of looking out for her own interests as opposed to evil?
Yeah, very much so. Especially when with what Rin has to say later on in the episode when he reveals that she's running out of dilithium and is maybe getting a little bit desperate. And so I was I'm very curious to see where she goes as a villain. If I want to throw in a little joke, I'd say that she's a little late to the party because, well, the list has already started. But
your list,
yes. But yeah, I'm very curious to see where the show takes her, and I'm hoping that we will get a good villain out of her because, I mean, in all honesty, Discovery hasn't given us too many good antagonists yet. I can think of one, and we'll get to him. But,
is he number 15 or something?
You're not gonna get that out of me, no.
Damn it! Well, I got to stop it out of you, so I'm gonna be happy with that for now.
It wasn't a very good one.
Hey, but at least we got one. Okay, next, Jason, what did you think of Sarah?
She was kind of like a cardboard cutout villain. I don't know. I mean, I'm not super impressed. I mean, I don't think she's the big bad of this season. I think I mean, I have a hard time believing that I think to your point, I don't see how she has the power that she has. She doesn't seem that put together. Book Ship took out her weapons. It just doesn't. The Emerald Chain doesn't seem very impressive. And yet it seems to be the villain that has befuddled Starfleet. So I'm really kind of confused by that.
I don't think she's going to be the only figurehead out of the Emerald Chain. It just don't make sense. Like you said, it don't make sense.
Yeah, they're basically just organized crime. So
she's no Al Capone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was a little underwhelmed by her, actually.
I found the Orion Syndicate much more terrifying in Deep Space Nine. I got to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I found her very businesslike and which is okay, just not very, I didn't get a clear sense of her intentions. If you have to have, a guest star of the week be the one to finally explain what her intentions are, and even having that knowledge doesn't necessarily illuminate her character to you. That's kind of how I felt I felt like she had style. I agree with you, Travis, that the conversation she had with Saru, I thought was a nice, bit of banter, and and she pressed all the right buttons, in terms of trying to antagonize him. But from an overall perspective, she just felt like kind of a small time, mobster, basically.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what the Emerald Chain is.
Yeah,
Pretty much what Ryan
if that's the case, if that's all the Emerald Chain is, and I can accept that, even in their weakened state, I have a hard time seeing them befuddling the Federation or Starfleet as much as they've seen. Like it seems like they are the rival to Starfleet in this era. If they are just a criminal chain, and this is what we've been presented with, I can't see how an organization would be befuddled by that.
I can explain this. Yeah, basically, they have almost Kazon-like numbers compared to Voyager at this point. You have a small number of Federation ships, and you have this basically crime syndicate that are both Andorian ships and Orion ships, and whatever they've combined together in the meantime.
But we don't know that. That's the problem. They haven't shown any of that power. They haven't really talked about that power.
Yeah, that's true.
We saw one slave camp, and we saw a marketplace.
Well, and
we
then
haven't seen
the other thing
power.
that we saw though was Admiral Vance explaining that in at least 50 systems, the Emerald Chain has done the same kind of thing as they've done to.
But again, this is the Orions we're talking about.
This is basically
an Orion Andorian alliance. Mm-hmm. And in the of not the last episode, but the one before, we had Vance giving out orders for different ships to either counter the Emerald Chain or to skirt by them because they can't afford a direct conflict with them.
Okay.
Yeah, my guess is that it's really. I think you're on the right path there, Ross, because I think the issue with regards to befuddling Starfleet is not that they're a huge power. It's just in many ways, it's just that they're a big irritant amidst all the other stuff that Starfleet has to worry about.
But listen, there's a reason why there's 5 families of New York, right? Because one family can't control it all. Because there's always that infighting. We saw this in a piece of the action, right? You can't have one boss in a criminal syndicate world. That's why, I could maybe buy the Emerald Chain being a collection of crime families like that, but if it's one, if Osiris is the leader of all of that, I don't buy it. It's not as believable.
They're okay.
Well, I don't think they portrayed it for that.
I figured that out. They're basically Cobra is what it comes down to. And she's Cobra.
No, Cobra has a dogma. They have their ideologues. The Emerald Chain they're not ideologues.
Yeah, but I mean, they operate similarly. They're more of an irritant than anything else. They never really do anything that's really too spectacular.
That you know of.
I believe she's more like Dr. Claw than Cobra Commander.
Yeah,
well,
I was underwhelmed.
She's not even that. See, so this lady was definitely savage in how she dealt with stuff, but it never felt horrifying, if that makes sense. It's like it felt like she was doing all the stuff a villain was supposed to do instead of being like just outright just villainous for the sake of being villainous.
Yeah, she's running a business.
Keep in mind,
like someone said earlier, she feels like a completely different person from the Orion Syndicate that we see in DS9 fucking with Miles again. Because there you have.
But if they're going to portray this syndicate as the one thorn in the side of the Federation, and a smaller Federation, and a Federation that's spread out and has limited resources, but we've still seen bad guys, antagonists in Star Trek from Khan through Dukat, Wayun, that just chewed the screen up with you knew they were bad guys. She came across as just somebody who was a little ticked.
We've had a lot of supporting dialogue, even in this episode. Admiral Vance told them before they left, "You don't know what she's capable of." He's afraid of her.
I don't think she knows what she's capable of. We didn't see anything except she killed her own nephew.
No, we haven't seen anything.
That's supposed to make her bad.
We've seen slave camps. We've seen her shelling a planet with her ship.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
We've seen her do some pretty, well, at least her organization do some pretty terrible things, and then allowing her couriers to just run roughshod over whoever they can take advantage of.
Right. She also tortured the antenna off an Andorian for dissenting.
Yeah.
Okay. And they installed she installed a bomb in people's necks, right? Like,
okay, but then again, this is all stuff we saw before she showed up. Right. And then we see her and she doesn't come across on screen as the person that did all those things.
Right. She's definitely a very subdued villain.
Yes.
My problem, I think, with her in this motif of the villain, I don't particularly like quote unquote villains on Star Trek. I like antagonists. We're using that word again. I like antagonists. I like complicated antagonists. And I think she's very one-dimensional.
It's only her first appearance. We still got how many episodes left?
This was 8, so we have 5 more.
I think there'll be time for her to be fleshed out and seen as a bit more of a threat. They wouldn't have talked her up this much if she was just going to be one-dimensional.
My only issue with that is if she is the big bad for the season, I'm going to be disappointed. Because
it's the Admiral. Watch, it's the Admiral.
Well, that would be.
You know what, dude? If that's true, you're getting that. Yeah, I kind of have a feeling this is not the Starfleet we think it is.
Nope.
I don't, because if
we've had enough Ronald D. Moore corrupting.
There was
one at a time, folks. Go ahead, son.
There was an interesting thing that was pointed out by Lori Loaded covering this episode, specifically because he has to go back to the interrogation of Georgiou, and he says, "Isn't it interesting what the guy interrogating Georgiou doesn't answer?" And that was, who's in control?
Yeah.
Well, here's what I would say. We got the episode titles early in the season. I think before the show started. The final episode is called Outside. And I think that episode title gives a lot of hint that we could see Discovery outside of the Federation by the end of the season.
I could see, because the role thematically that Discovery is playing this season is in some ways kind of like messianic. I mean, they're appearing out of nowhere during a very dark time, with these espousing these ideals and setting this example, and that kind of person upsets a lot of political apple carts. Mm-hmm. And I think that if that is the direction the show's going, I think that's a good one for the reasons that you're talking about, Jason.
And if you think about it, like if you're Admiral Vance, right? Wouldn't you be pissed as all get out after this week's episode, right? So you've spent all this time maintaining some kind of balance and non-aggression with the Emperor Chain, only to have this group of ragtag people from the past just come and shit all over that.
Well, yes, but at the same time, Saru has justification within not only his orders but within Starfleet instruction to do the things that he did.
Yes, but it's also, you can tell from what Vance said to him that he would have preferred that he didn't.
No, but he didn't have a lot of choice either.
Well,
they are still Starfleet.
Well, from Saru's standpoint, he doesn't have choice because he's standing up for certain ideals. From Vance's standpoint, pragmatically, that entering into open fire basically with someone you've been in a Cold War with for a while is probably not your preferred tactic.
Yeah.
It's
not
ideal.
You did say that they don't have the ships to spare, so
Wait a minute. Burnham's dragged them into another war? Surprise,
Burnham
surprise.
didn't do anything.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, never did do
Burnham,
anything
yeah,
was from the Endorian Grey.
Yeah. In
And
this
he
case,
not-
And
This
Burnham
is it.
didn't start the first war.
You're right.
That's not how history reports it.
Okay,
History
so
is written by the victors.
it sounds like we are of a couple of different minds around Osira, most of which revolve around, I guess we have to wait and see what kind of role she's going to end up really playing in the bigger picture of the season. So, we'll stay posted
What
on
she
that.
plays ends up coming out the hero. Won't that be a mind fuck?
I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe.
well, I don't see anybody in the ad associated with the Emerald Chain being a hero just because of what they're doing.
Mhm.
Well, we did have that one hint about how Andorian kids are taught to fear the Federation. Now, why, after all that time of being friends of the Federation, would they suddenly
It wasn't
go
suddenly.
to fear them?
It wasn't suddenly.
Yeah, this has gone over.
There's been 900 years since then.
Right.
It wasn't sudden.
The Andorian culture has changed that they see the Federation as a boogeyman.
Right.
It's been 150 years. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's since the burn. I don't really
Yeah, since
recall.
the
Did they actually recall? They actually state when the Andorians jumped
No,
ship?
they haven't. They
So
haven't.
I
Not
mean,
yet.
we have no idea when that separation occurred.
But it's been long enough for their entire culture and
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well,
And the idea, of course, is there's been enough time that has elapsed for all that to happen.
that
Yeah.
could have
And you-
been, but
I
that,
mean-
honestly, that could have been 20 years. I mean,
But
when
look
you
at-
think about it. I
Look
mean,
at our own like socio-political
right, exactly.
worldviews or views that have come in the early 1980s. There was a show that had Confederate flag on the roof, and now that would never fly anywhere. So those kinds of views can change pretty quickly.
Yeah,
They actually go back and edit out the Confederate flag in those shows. I mean, this is, yeah, that point.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the supporting cast, because this was a little bit of a breakout episode in that we got to see some of the supporting cast kind of doing more and being more than just playing a role on the bridge. We literally, in Detmer's case, saw her get off the bridge and really kind of go to town and be her own thing, her own person, which was really fun to see. We also saw that, and we also saw, her interaction with Wasukin that I think we've kind of seen that developing over all 3 seasons. But this episode, you really saw it kind of coming into play in a real sort of, like, you got a good sense of the depth of their friendship and the respect they hold for each other, which was fun to see. And I hope that we do see that with a lot more of these other characters. But for as many complaints as I hear from people that the rest of the crew is kind of being ignored, I don't think they are. I think we're getting stuff, little by little about them, showcasing each of them. And as long as they keep that up, I'll be happy.
More different.
I think they put themselves. I think I'm going to say this right now because it's been bugging me for a while. I think the show was put into a very bad situation from the early development on, when with Brian Fuller's involvement in them designing the show initially based on Brian Fuller's input into this, and the whole basis of the show was Brian Fuller's brainchild. And in order to get the show released by the time they did, they had to go with what they had. And I think that kind of hurt everything in the long run. They had to go through the first season of this Klingon war, which really I didn't think was that great to begin with. The whole premise of the first season. And then they had to basically make it the Captain Pike show in season 2. And then they had to go and throw them 900 years in the future, which is really what I think everybody agrees they should have done to begin with.
It wouldn't have worked if you'd started it out that way.
No.
No, why not? Why wouldn't it work if the show was started, if a brand new Star Trek series was set 900 years in the future? Why wouldn't it?
Because it's not connected in any way to anything.
That's exactly the point. They didn't have
And
to
that's
rely-
exactly why, I'm not saying, My point is that it's not a panacea to the issues that it had in its first 2 seasons. Those are the kinds of issues you see in the first 2 seasons of any show, particularly a Star Trek show.
My thing is that I think the writers were forced to deal with work that wasn't their own. They had to deal with premise that wasn't their own.
But I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, remember after season 1, and they were talking about the Section 31 show. When did they say the Section 31 show could go? They said the Section 31 show couldn't go until after season 3. They knew after season 1 that this ship was going into the future. They knew this really early on that this show was going to go where we've gone. So I don't think that. I mean, yes. The unfortunate part is that the opening part of the development of the show was saddled with Brian Fuller's vision, and they had to pick up with that. I don't think that's been bad. I mean, I like the fact that we had a prologue to get to know some of these characters before we get to the meat and potatoes. And I like what they've shown us. And everybody talks about the main characters not getting enough screen time. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. The main characters are Michael Burnham, Saru, Paul Stamets, Tilly, Culber, Book, and Giorgio. That's 7 characters that are getting a lot of screen, that have gotten a lot of screen time this season. And obviously Book wasn't part of this season, the series before. Last year it was Pike. But my point is that like when we think about like Detmer, Osoken, Reyes, and Bryce, those are all recurring characters. And then we have Nilsson, and then we have Reno, and then we have Adara, and then we have Gray, and we have Vance and Kovich. So this is probably one of the largest recurring casts in Star Trek, aside from maybe Deep Space Nine. And a lot of the Deep Space Nine recurring players were beyond like the core crew were like what's his name, who played multiple roles?
Jeffrey Combs?
Yeah, Jeffrey Combs. But my point is that we do have a lot of time, or screen time, and we do have a lot for the main cast to do. I think the difference is the main cast in this series isn't the bridge crew.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jason. I think even if a lot of people will look at DS9 and say they did it right with their ensemble cast, but what they're forgetting is it took them 7 years to do that. And 7 years times 23 episodes a year. Okay, 7 years of Discovery is not going to get us anywhere near the same number of episodes. So so once you adjust for that, you realize that that we're kind of, I think, idealizing something like DS9. And don't get me wrong, I love DS9, but it took them a long time to get those characters to where they were. And Discovery is not there yet.
And you're right.
Discovery's not there yet. And,
you're right.
And it's impossible for them to be there yet. So to compare them that way and say that the ensemble in DS9 was better handled than the ensemble in Discovery, I don't think is a fair comparison, because they operated on 2 completely different time frames.
Right. By the time we get done with this season, it'll be basically the first 2 seasons of Deep Space Nine.
Right.
Well, I think that's an unfair statement, mainly because, look, as casual I am about this show, I do believe that it handles its characters the best for the most part since DS9, honestly. If
I'd agree with that.
You know me and my tough love that I often give to Voyager and Enterprise. I love the characters of these shows, but the character development is atrocious. They are static. They are in a bubble. They don't really do too much. Like, there's a few exceptions. The Doctor is a great character. 709 is a great character. Trip Tucker is a character. But these are the exceptions in this bubble of main people that just didn't go anywhere. There's a reason why, it was a few weeks ago when we were talking about Nog, of all people. I don't remember exactly what the context was, but there was a reason I said, there was a reason I said when I ranked the protagonists earlier this year that you could pick a character from Voyager or Enterprise and compare him to Nog, and Nog has significant development, significant. and he was a recurring character. I mean, like, yeah, and Discovery. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Discovery's characters are perfect. There's legit criticism to be had about Michael Burnham. There's legit criticism to be had with almost any of these characters, but I will say that they are showing a lot more growth, a lot more development than, you know, a lot of other Star Trek shows have us in 30, 50. So, yeah, but
Okay,
I'm
my
rambling
point.
at this point.
I know Sun has a point. But the one thing I would say to that, Travis, though, is that Detmer is a recurring character. Detmer is a Nog of this series, and that's what people forget about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Son, go ahead with what you want to say.
So I had this question watching the episode, and I have to wonder if anybody else had this question. When we see her take manual control of the ship, and she seems like she's in her element, my question was, is this what she's been freaking out over all this time? Because it seems kind of really stupid of a thing to be that PTSD'd about.
This being what? How are you defining this?
Like, okay, so she, you know how she's been all spaced out, and like even at the beginning of the episode, she's like, I need backups for all this stuff going on. And then there she is in Book's ship, and she takes manual control, and all of that shit seems to disappear.
Because she's in control.
Yeah.
Well, also keep in mind that when she's at the helm of the Discovery, she's got the lives of the entire crew in her hands. If she makes a mistake, it's completely on her. However, on Book's ship, it was just her and the Andorian guy. Those were the only two people that she had to worry about on the ship. So she was fine. And after talking to him, realizing that he had his antenna chopped off because he stood up to somebody, made her realize that she had to face her fear. So she decided to go all out. She's got nothing to lose, technically. So let go.
Yeah, I mean, there was I think you're really right there, Ross. I think for Detmer, this was an opportunity to be able to shed a lot of the constraints that she normally has to work under, because there's, you know, Starfleet has protocols, and you know the helms person on the ship follows protocols, and for once she was allowed to really let go, and that actually turned out to be an advantage, because you have to think that in the 32nd century, so many things are automated. So for someone to like do something manually is a big deal. I mean, think about jet airplanes today. You know, when I was a kid, jet airplanes were still pretty much piloted manually by human beings.
Were they even made yet?
But they had hand crank propellers, so that's the issue. So.
But today, everything's computerized. These planes literally can fly themselves. That is the way they're typically flown. But for Detmer, she's old school. She's able to do things with a ship that on a daily basis that pilots in the 32nd century don't, except maybe in training very early on in their careers. So that's why she was able to get a leg up over Osira and her ship and her weapons.
All I'm saying is it would not surprise me in the next episode or two where she has manual adjacent controls. That is to say, she's using manual controls while the ship is still acting under an automated system.
I think they've been hinting at that, you know, since the last episode when they were talking about the programmable matter for her controls and how they were being, and even Washington made a comment this episode about, you know, the controls are supposed to be adapting to you, not the other way around. So I think we're heading in that direction. Okay, let's do one last topic. Well, one big one and then a little one before we move on to Mandalorian. The next thing I want to talk about really quickly is Georgiou and what we see of her. And we've got a sneak peek from next week's episode that I think illuminates a lot of things about Georgiou. So first, quick question. How many of you saw the either or both the clip, the preview clip at the end of this episode or the sneak peek clip from the Ready Room?
I've not seen the Ready Room, so.
Nor have I.
Okay. It's too bad because they actually do reveal exactly what the issue is. Her issue.
Do I have to take my headphones out? There's a reason.
I won't go into what they are. Other than to say this.
Before you say this, I want to point out something, and that is that Hugh touched on it during his examination.
Yeah.
He said, "Is it temporal or
physiological?
Temporal, physiological, or interdimensional?" Is exactly what he said.
Mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
So which is exactly what I predicted, that doing both the temporal and the interdimensional was problematic.
Yeah, we definitely have theorized about this before, and I'm glad.
And what callback they did to something else that we can't mention since people haven't seen it yet.
Oh, right. Well, and I won't go into that spoiler territory other than to say from a kind of a more of a meta perspective is that if you think about the Ready Room clips that we've seen all season, they're great clips, but they're not necessarily the biggest part of that particular episode. And if that holds true, the fact that we find out in a clip what the heart of the issue is with Giorgio means that what the episode is really about is going to be about something even bigger than that. So hang on to your hats, folks.
Well, especially with that call out, right? There was that specific call out about that alien that they went to, being from an alternate universe that was created by a temporal incursion by a Romulan mining ship.
Imitation. Spoilers.
Now, they just went through 5 minutes of saying they weren't going to spoil anything.
I did not spoil anything.
Well, I mean, like, I guess I missed it, so
I did
worry.
too. So.
If they do a Kelvin
they're not
crossover or
going
the
to.
No,
they're not.
I will be so happy.
He said, "Stop it."
It's not going to be that. It is a.
Travis said, "Stop it."
Are we going to meet
Travis, you can make us stop, Travis.
Andrew was in Vancouver last summer.
No, seriously, if we get a Kelvin callback in Discovery, that legitimizes the Kelvin universe in a way we have not seen yet. That excites me.
We have.
Not in this. No, okay. The fact that Spock went back, that's canon. That's alpha canon.
No. I'm talking about a very specific thing. So.
Oh, by the way,
you'll see. It's
anyone want to take note of what the episode's names are for?
I was saying we haven't gotten that before. We haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah, we've got no reference.
Wait. We got it in Picard, though.
We only got that Spock is gone and that Romulus is destroyed. That is alpha canon. That all happened within the contents of canon.
Of prime timeline, exactly.
Right.
He's absolutely
there
right.
has been no crossover between Kelvin and Prime yet, is what I'm saying. There's been crossover with Prime that led to Kelvin.
Speculation makes me uncomfortable.
Make him stop, Travis. Make him stop.
I want more Kelvin. That's what it's boiling down to.
I love the Kelvin universe.
No, you're not going to get
no Kelvin. No Kelvin free.
Okay, so enough about that. We're going to see a lot more, and I would urge you to see the clip because
Terra Firma is the name of the episode. That'd be a big hint.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, thank you. Okay. Final topic. Then we'll move over to the Mandalorian, and that is coming back around to where we think we are with Tilly. Did you guys feel that she was realistic in the way that she, stepped into being first officer in this episode?
She's badass. I mean, okay, you appears you'd be all, panicky, but she took the role and went with it. Like, she went with it well. Especially at the part where the Andorian come in, barged in the office, and she's like, no. Say that again with respect. Whoa. Like, hello, where have you been all season?
Well, she was hiding behind her fears, but when the crew accepted her in that role in the episode before,
it's a big boost.
They praised her and said, yeah, we're going to follow you. Where do we go? And she was like, oh, okay.
I guess I can do it. Yeah, no, it was a nice bookend to what we saw her do in the Mirror Universe episodes when she was Captain Killy.
I hate the fact that I missed Adam's rant.
What
Did
rant?
Adam even rant?
No, not Anna. It's Jason's gonna rant.
Jason's gonna rant about Mandalorian. Let me get to Mandalorian.
Are we not going to talk about the burn
whole
source?
Reason we brought Adam on is that most of his views are contrary to all of ours.
But I actually am liking this season.
He's liking the season.
My biggest problem is I don't like Michael Burnham.
Yes, we know you don't like
You're
Michael.
okay.
So are we not going to talk about the burn source?
Well, okay, so we can talk about that, although we didn't learn very much about it.
We learned enough.
Well, we learned that there's somehow a Federation distress signal at the heart of it, right?
We learned that that's where the music is coming from.
Somebody brought up a very interesting theory. They said that the music sounded very similar to the music that we heard in Calypso, and theorized that perhaps the Discovery itself is the source of the distress signal.
I thought of that, but it would have to be a discovery from a different timeline.
That's the second episode of Voyager.
Hey, wait a minute.
Just to let you know. I want to.
Well, I mean, look, Sean. There's a reason why I don't make predictions. I'm just sharing what other people are saying.
I'm not saying. I'm not even dismissing it. It was just like would blow my mind. If they actually did
It's going
that.
to be a discovery from the Kelvin universe.
Oh, don't even, Justin. Come on. Come on.
There you go. You got another one out of me.
You got another one out of him, Justin. You should be having two in one episode.
So here's the thing. You know what I thought that song was? I thought it was Humpback Whales. That's what I thought.
Oh, that would be.
I was like, oh my god, they're not going back to Star Trek.
A big cylinder probe in the middle, and that's caused the burn.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
So we know that there's a Starfleet distress signal coming from the center of that nebula. It's broadcasting. It's also broadcasting that song that has infiltrated the psyches of practically everyone in the quadrants.
Not necessarily. It is not necessarily emitting the song, because all of the science-y techno babble that was going on was that the signal itself was bouncing off of the stars in the nebula and creating that song.
I got it. It's Scotty. He never actually got to retire after all.
His shuttle. His shuttle got stuck in the nebula.
His shuttle got stuck in the nebula. That's it.
His iPod got stuck in pattern buffer.
He put it. Yeah, exactly. He put it back in the pattern buffer, and his iPod was going with it. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Whoa, just a second. Jason gets the last word, then we're moving on to
If this was Berman Trek, that's exactly what it would be, Sean.
Yep. There's no question about it.
Agreed. Okay, great. Round robin is our ratings, and then we'll move on. So let's start with Travis and Lane.
I'll go ahead and give the episode a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Solid, but not great.
So it's fine. Like it wasn't bad. I thought it was nice. It was good.
Okay.
Solid and yeah.
All right, Sean.
I'm with Travis on this one. I thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was. It just didn't have a whole lot of meat to it. I especially liked the visual effects in this episode were fucking great. That's really one of the main things about it. That really caught my attention. I was thinking to myself, the visual effects in this episode are better than have been in any Star Trek movie. It was what caught my attention, and I was like, wow, yeah, these are really good. And I did really appreciate that Detmer finally got a B story here, or at least a C story.
C. She was a C.
C story. Okay. Well, at least she got her own little arc there, and
Yeah.
that's really been missing a lot from this. It didn't really do much. It was a good story. It was very trope filled, but it did its job. Let's put it that way. It gets us to the next episode. It was fun.
Yeah, I think plot-wise, the most overall plot-wise, the important thing that we saw here was that Book is all in terms of Starfleet and the Federation.
He's a true believer now.
Yeah, he's a true believer. That look of satisfaction on Burnham's face as she was leaving him, that's going to be a big deal. Eyebrows again.
Yeah, her boyfriend gets to hang out a little while longer.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Greg, thank you. It is Tony Todd's birthday today, and we all like Tony Todd and the fact he left Axanar. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Eyebrows of Doom. Give us your rating.
4 out of 5 Necron Warriors.
Don't you start.
You can make him stop, dude.
There was a lot to like in this episode. I absolutely loved all the new world building we got. The agonizingly slow pace of the burn data, it drives me crazy, but I know that's the season-long arc, but geez. So there's very little I disliked about this episode. I want to know more about Osira. I want to know why she's such a big threat, why she's such a big deal. I want to see more of the chain. I
want to know why Cleveland Booker, whose name is not Cleveland Booker, who's never been to Earth, chose the most Earth-like name of Cleveland Booker.
It's a story for another day.
I know, but that's like, once you know now what his real name is, it's like nothing near Cleveland Booker.
Because he was a firefighter.
I want to know how you can live rent-free in a shuttle bay.
Because they don't use money.
That's right, no money. Son, what's your rating this week?
Okay, so I'm definitely going to have to give this an 8.5.
Wow.
I praise from Son.
It's another episode of us following Burnham not being the center of a story. And letting a story happen around her.
Makes it a plus for you.
Yeah. That's the thing. I this is why I agree with Adam on Burnham.
Yeah.
Burnham is better when she's like in the middle of a story, watching it happen rather than being out in front of it.
Yep.
Okay. I gotta go Red Fox on. I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming. I cannot believe that Son just gave an episode a higher rating than me. Like much higher rating. Holy
I was thinking that too. Okay.
You weren't here for the 9s, were you?
Oh, that's right. You weren't here. You weren't here for the 9. I wasn't either. I had to go back and listen.
Yeah, but I would have. But those episodes, I would have been right with you on that. But I just can't believe you leaps and bounded me this time.
Leaps and bounded. Okay, Beard Fossé.
Again, it's hard because it's a solid episode. It wasn't the emotionally rewarding. It didn't have that emotional payoff that last week's did, but it did what it had to do. It got us from point A, which was the end of last week's episode, into next week's episode. It was a solid story. It was enjoyable. It was engaging. The only part of it I really didn't care for was just the villainy of Osira. Like, she just doesn't seem like the big bad. So because of that, I'm going to give it 2.5 badges.
2.5 badges.
2.5 badges.
Okay. All
Out of
right.
3.
Now, Osira is the Carlos Pedraza villain.
You did not go there. All right. Give us a rating.
More like the Jody Wheeler of villains.
Yeah, oh,
yes.
There you go.
Yes,
there
that
you
is
go.
exactly what
There
it
you
is.
go.
Thank you, Jason. Justin, give us your rating.
Okay, we're gonna have to do 8.
There you go.
You guys, it's not working.
It needs to work.
It's not working anymore.
It's getting close to you, though.
Guys, I told you this before. I tried telling you this when he wasn't here. You have to stop for a while. That way, when you pick it back up, he's not expecting it.
Yeah, the times I've broken on this show, it's because things blindsided me.
That's true.
It's not
Yeah,
something that you
like
become
talking about
desensitized to.
Battleship, and he just loses his shit on the air.
No effect. That first time, I was on the floor for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is we need some new material before we go back to old material.
Is that vanilla pudding you've been blindsided with?
Okay, we got to get moving, folks. Justin, what's your rating?
8.5.
8.5, also pretty good. Okay, I'm going to go with a good 7.5 here. Mostly, I think Jason spoke my mind on it. I will say, though, that usually when you're sort of trying to balance out the pace of a season, you're right, Jason, after you have a, really emotionally deep episode like we saw in Unification 3, rather than trying to match that, it's smarter to go to something that's a little more plotty, that advances the plot of the season, the arc of the season, which clearly was what they were attempting to do here. They just didn't do it quite well enough in exactly the place that you're talking about, which is Osira. I think they dropped the ball on Osiris.
I just think this is why they need to have Frank direct every episode of Discovery. I mean,
well, you can't do that. I mean, you really can't do that.
I want a different vision.
Yeah, you can't, because the way you do television production is one director is prepping the next week's episode. One director is directing the current week's episode, and the other director is overseeing post-production on the previous week's episode. So you can't do directing back to back with one person.
Did we get a rating from Adam?
We're going to Adam next. So that's why I gave it a 7.5, because I think it kind of dropped the ball a little bit on some of the plot stuff. Adam, you are the guest, so you get the final word on.
I get the final. How nice.
You go for it.
Let's see. You guys have all touched on all the good points. You touched on all the bad points, and I'm right with Travis and Sean. It gets 7 out of 10 Linus skin flakes.
Oh. You're all stuck tonight. You're all stuck.
Why
A bit of his face. Ew, cool.
Cool. That was pretty cool. Okay, great, awesome.
The
Thank
only
you.
breakfast cereal that tastes fleshy in milk.
That's blindsiding. That's what you gotta do. Well done.
That was well done, Adam.
Can I get a bowl of triples with this Linus?
Yeah,
So crispy.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of Discovery. Next week, of course, big Giorgio episode, and hello, Tribble. And so stay tuned. Go watch that clip, you guys and folks at home, because it's a good one. We get to see David Cronenberg again. So,
and now we know why he's here.
Freaky
body flickering thing.
Time travel. Woo!
I want the whole series of David Cronenberg's characters just interrogating people. I think that would be that would be compelling. I would watch it.
Okay, so that takes us now over to The Mandalorian this week. The shortest episode of the season at only, 33 minutes?
It was 32, but here's the thing. Their closing credits are all 4 minutes long. So it was 28 if you're lucky.
The credits. Like, I enjoy the artwork on the show and the credits, but
let's not dawdle too long on the timing, other than to say that for such a short episode, they actually revealed a hell of a lot in chapter 14, the tragedy. So let's start out with our overall impression. Really make it really quick, then we'll deep dive as usual. And because he's holding up artwork, you get to go first this time, Jason.
Why the hell couldn't this episode have aired after Christmas? Seriously.
Hey, that thing's value just shut up.
Yeah,
Frankly,
that's a limited product now.
It looks better. It looks better on that Lego box than it did, in the last couple of episodes, dude.
This was a $100 Christmas present that's now like
now it's going to be worth $500. Legacy item, dude.
Yeah, it's a legacy
now you don't
item.
have to put it together.
Well, I like.
So here's one other thing I want to point out is that we have the 2020 Star Wars Advent Calendar. We got for my son, and do you know what tomorrow's day gift is?
What?
A little Razor Crest. How perfect is that?
In memoriam.
The timing, it's like they planned it.
Of course, they planned it. They knew.
Here's a question: why do you know what tomorrow's is?
Because my kid.
He cheated.
My kid cheated.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him that Santa does not look kindly on that. Sorry, Silas.
Mandalorians.
You're gonna get the busted up Razor Crest like Sean's kids.
Yeah. I'm sharing my screen right now.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to just ask you to do that because it's folks at home. You got to see this. This is hilarious. This is Sean's version of the Razor Crest.
I made this today.
Go ahead.
I had to look twice when you posted that, Sean, because I was like, he did not just do that. and that was like right after I read Jason's rant in our chat about his feelings about the destruction of the Razor Crest.
It was hilarious because I turned around, I seen Jason's rant, and I just started laughing. I was like, he bought the toy.
So do you guys remember how I said a couple of episodes ago when the Razor Crest all broke, how this was the perfect excuse for it to get upgrades?
Yeah.
It's an even better excuse for the Razor Crest to get upgrades.
Now it's getting.
Are we talking about the Razor Crest now? It's just the little silver ball that that Grogu likes.
Yeah,
it looks like a Death Star.
Yeah, that Baby Yoda likes.
I'm going to guarantee that Beskar steel spear is going to come into play. I don't think there's any doubt about
Oh
that.
yeah. It's definitely Chekhov's gun in this episode.
Okay, so tells me it's going to be the only thing capable of actually combating the dark saber.
Ooh, I like the way you talk, son.
Yep, exactly. I mean, this was established last week, actually.
Because we got to see the dark saber again in this episode.
Briefly.
Briefly.
Keep your eye out with that thing, Carlos. Be careful.
God damn it.
He was kind of creepy with it.
Okay, so son, you get to go next. How do you feel this episode worked?
Well, it was nice to finally have some closure for Tatooine.
They closed that loop finally.
Yeah, the missing sniper witch lady and
Boba Fett and Boba Fett. You know, this is probably the single best Boba Fett appearance
ever
all
in the entire franchise.
Yeah, he got more than 5 words at once.
He looked like a friend.
Okay, whoa, one at a time. First Ross, then Justin.
I just said he got to speak more than 5 words at once.
Indeed. Justin.
He got to kick ass.
Travis.
I'll have some words when it's my turn.
Okay. All right, then let's go to...
go back to Sun. She wasn't done.
Oh, Sun. Go ahead and finish then.
He looked like a Frankenstein's monster, though.
That's what happens when you fall into a stomach.
Yeah, you look like Robert De Niro in Frankenstein. You did. You're right.
It's a little acid burn.
Well, you know,
he's kind of badass. I half expected him to have picked up the Mandalorian's jetpack to get to his armor, and then bring his own jetpack back.
No, he swapped. He hoofed it.
You know, if Mando had his jetpack, he could have saved Baby Yoda.
Plot.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing to me out of this whole episode was that he just sets it down, and then when the Imperial shows up, he leaves it right there.
Yeah.
Well,
after he struck the deal with Boba Fett and what's her name, I don't know why he wouldn't have put it back on immediately.
Plot hole. That was I was.
And then if he had just had patience, holy shit.
Patience for what?
The field would have come down and he would have been able to save Baby Yoda if he had just waited for 2 more minutes.
You know what my favorite part of this episode was?
How could this happen to me?
Make it fast because you had your turn already, Jason.
Oh, the end when Baby Yoda was just playing doll, marionettes with the stormtroopers.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cute.
Well, here's the thing about that, Sam, I'd like to talk about. This goes back to exactly what Ahsoka Tano said about him having a darkness in him.
Mm-hmm.
There it was, folks. Right.
Yeah, there it was for sure.
Because he was literally just playing with them, and there was how they make that puppet emote, but they do. I mean, there was an anger in it. There was a visceralness to that. He was really being very vindictive and just cruel.
That's what happens when Disney owns the Jim Henson Workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes you wonder exactly what happened to him when he was on the Seeing Stone.
Right.
Because it exhausted him, obviously, and it lasted a long time. But we'll get to that. Okay, Son, were you done with your quick overview?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, Ross.
Dark Troopers! I called it. I told you.
Yes, you did.
Dark Troopers, Boba Fett, Ming Na Wen.
Okay, question about the Dark Troopers.
Ross is.
Are Dark Troopers like androids, or I mean, not androids, like
they're advanced battle
androids? They got like brains in their heads, right?
They're advanced battle droids.
Okay.
So think the super battle droids with the arm mounted guns in the Clone Wars, and a little bit of the tactics of the more advanced bots. These are highly capable, highly destructive, very, very dangerous machines.
Okay, so they are
in Legends, they were competing for the funds for the TIE Defender. That's how expensive these things are.
Okay, so they are. So these are actual droids. These are not like Grievous with a brain inside their head or anything.
They're droids. Later versions of the Dark Trooper, or earlier versions of the Dark Trooper, were actually clone troopers grafted with droid parts, kind of Darth Vader-ish.
What I thought exactly, because my kids showed me some pictures. Because of course they're quick on this. They showed me some pictures online. They look like droid zombies. Is what they look like.
That was version 0. What we saw was more like version 1, like we saw in Dark Forces, the game. But there were several follow-on versions as well. Since they're introducing them much later in the timeline, we'll see what happens and what their capabilities are. We got to see so little of it, but they were dropped straight from the ship. That's just like how they were used in Legends. They were orbital drops most of the time. There's so much. Oh man, there's so much to be giddy about.
But if these are droids, this still doesn't explain why Gideon needs Yoda, the baby Yoda.
Doesn't explain why Gideon needs stormtroopers.
It's because they're tying it to the rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
right.
Well, there's also
the clones that they are making are Snoke.
No, they aren't. The Scar's in completely the wrong space.
The what?
Please.
The reason people are drawing the conclusion that these clones that they were growing a couple episodes ago are Snoke is because there's a scar on their face is similar to Snoke's, but it was in completely the wrong area.
Well, yeah, because they're not Snoke; they're pre-Snoke.
They're not. They're pre-Snoke. This is the forefront of bringing the Emperor back.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be
these are the clones that they're trying to make for Palpatine.
Yeah.
Additionally, a follow-on to the Dark Trooper project had line-grown clones injected with Jedi blood to make them Force sensitive. So it could be something like that as well.
I'd like to talk about the troop carriers that are basically clone cars. I mean, did anyone else pick up on that?
Yes.
How they kept coming out.
Okay, we'll get to you in a second. Ross, are you done with your?
It was so awesome to see Boba Fett in action, both in and out of his armor, to see him actually be the badass that he is instead of getting dropped into the Sarlacc pit by a clumsy Han Solo.
He was always very kludgy in the movies.
Yeah, so to see him actually being a Mandalorian, being the total badass that we've all known him to be in Legends up to this point, on screen for everyone to see.
Yeah, it's the only time I've liked Boba Fett.
Very, very satisfying.
Okay, Justin.
Even the knee gun. He even had the knee gun.
The knee gun was, I have to admit, kind of awesome. It was kind of awesome. Okay, Justin, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, this episode I loved it. I am just a little kind of worried about the stormtroopers. Do they not look a little bit cheap to you all?
A little what?
Cheap. Like the plastic, like never seen helmets break apart like that.
You've never been hit by a Tusken Raider staff before.
Yeah, you've never seen a stormtrooper take a beating like that.
We saw it in the first season. We definitely saw it in the first season.
Here's the thing: as I understand it, the stormtrooper armor is meant to, protect against blasters, not melee weapons. Am I correct on that? That's
doesn't do a good job.
It does do a good job of anything.
Star Wars Rebels goes into it.
Okay.
They're pawns on a chessboard, gentlemen.
Anyone else knows we finally get to see a stun setting on a blaster?
Oh, we saw it in the opening scene of A New Hope. And
but how long ago was that?
But remember, they were consistent that it's not a beam; it's a whoop.
It's a blue circle. Yeah.
I'm going to do that to Jody Wheeler next. Woo. Okay.
Maybe
Sean.
you can kiss him behind the woodshed.
Yeah, of course.
Well, okay.
John.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. I loved every bit of this episode from beginning to end. I'd like to also point out, folks, this was directed by the one and only Robert Rodriguez.
Yes, it was.
So awesome, right
That
there.
explains a lot, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and they compress so much into that. If we're lucky, 28 minutes.
Yeah, that's Robert Rodriguez's calling card. That's what he does. He gets a lot of plot into a lot of action in a very little amount of time. He's brilliant that way.
And it really was brilliant because there was so much plot that happened combined with the action. You would think that one would overwhelm the other, and they didn't. It was seamless.
Most directors cannot pull that off. They either do all action and it's all like action, or all plot, and it's very hard to do them both at the same time. Robert Rodriguez is a master of it.
It was great. Like I said, the troop carrier clown cars I thought were hilarious because it just kept coming out the thing. Watching Boba Fett in action finally, they finally done this character right. And I know we talked about from the very beginning, even way before the show aired, please don't bring Boba Fett into this. But they've done it in such a way that it's perfect. They've done it. And an interesting thing about this too is that remember of course,
wasn't it cool when he just sort of showed up in the armor? Like I didn't expect that. Like
when I saw him looking at the open door in the Razor Crest, I knew that's what he was doing. And then immediately I said, "Oh, he's going to get the armor." It was either that or steal the ship. And I said, wait a minute, he's a Mandalorian. He's not going to steal the ship. So what was interesting though was that we had all kind of fought in that episode with is it Fennec? Fennec. That the guy who came in, because all we heard was the spurs and we saw the boots. We had all fought by the end of that season because first we thought it was Boba Fett, and then we said, "No, it can't be." And then we get to the end where we're thinking, "Okay, it's Moff Gideon because of the spurs and the cape." That was a big thing. And now we got confirmation it actually was Boba Fett. So our first appearance of Boba Fett was actually last season. We just didn't realize it.
George called it.
George did call it.
Yes, he did.
A year on, he's still calling things up from the grave.
Boba Fett's appearance makes sense in a lot of ways. Luke Skywalker's does not, but that's a debate for another day.
Why are you walking shit back, Carlos?
I'm not walking shit back. I am as adamant as ever about
Look, here's the thing about George. George nonstop watched the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that kind of stuff. George knew the mind of Favreau. George's problem is that he was always off on his timing.
Right.
Patience was not one of his virtues.
No, it's not.
George.
Well, I mean, it didn't make sense in the beginning of last season or even at the end of last season. As we progressed through this season, it made more and more sense. We complained about them, the fact that they're back on Tatooine again, aren't they? Well, there was a real important point to them being back on Tatooine. And now that we've got this whole Magnificent Seven / the Dirty Dozen campaign to go rescue Grogu, that they're getting Greg.
Grogu.
They're getting the band back together. My prediction
from God.
Exactly. I'm going to predict here that we're also going to get Bo-Katan and Clan Kreese back into this as well.
Probably.
Oh, we definitely. If they're going after Gideon, they are.
Yeah,
and Ahsoka-Tana.
Right. It all is, of course, Ahsoka-Tana too. And whoever that mystery Jedi who never showed fucking up this week, because I guarantee it's like the first thing you're going to see. It's like you're going to see some mystery Jedi walking up to the rock and say, "Huh, I thought somebody called," and because that was supposed to happen, and we didn't get that. So I think
Skywalker.
not necessarily.
No, I honestly think it's going to be Ezra.
I agree.
I
with
hope
that.
so. I
It's way
hope
more
so.
likely to be
After this episode and watching where they're progressing, it's going to be Ezra Bridger.
And if there's Ezra, there's going to be Sabine.
Do I have to binge Rebels now? Because
I think I have to.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Quick aside, you guys, I know Sun saw this interview, the Dave Filoni interview, and there was also the Rosario Dawson interview in which they talked about the timing of this episode vis-a-vis Rebels.
Mm-hmm, that was the same interview.
In which they raised the possibility, though they did not make this conclusive, that this might have actually happened prior to the events in the season, in the conclusion of Rebels.
Right. You're right. Dave Filoni said that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
He said it was a possible thing.
But didn't Rebels end before the Battle of Yavin?
But the epilogue didn't. The epilogue is much further in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
the epilogue took place shortly after Endor.
Yes.
So I mean, it really looks like, again, the last 2 episodes of this season are going to be mind blowing.
And there's only 2 left.
Meow meow.
So we'll see. Okay, Travis and Lane.
Now I'm going to be very clear about something. I like the episode. I liked it a lot. But here's where I play devil's advocate. Something my dad pointed out last week when I was watching last week's episode is that the dialogue of the show is not very good. And I've kind of taken that and just kind of held onto that mindset because, like, if I had time to talk with you guys about last week's episode, I would have very much, I would have very much, I would have told you guys what he said. And watching this one, I couldn't help but feel like, man, this dialogue really isn't that strong. I do believe that The Mandalorian is at its strongest when it is dialogue light and when, it's more cinematic and more focused on its action and, atmosphere. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I kind of see where you're going, but I'm just curious from a writer's perspective, like when you say that the dialogue isn't good, like what kinds of things are you referring to? Are you seeing that's not working for you?
To me, it just feels like the dialogue is either just way too tropey / cliche, or just at times it just isn't very good. Like this week's dialogue wasn't as bad as last week's because there were some bad lines last week. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was looking forward to the end of last week's episode, but when that battle was happening, like when the Mandalorian and that mercenary were staring each other down, the mercenary's just like, which side do you think's gonna win? It could be my side, could be your side. And I was just like, what the hell is this? I was just I was kind of floored at that line, honestly. And this week it was better, but even Boba Fett, it just he just came across as too stone cold. Like, look, I get that kind of a breakout episode for Boba Fett, but again, I just don't really care about the character. He kicked ass, cool. He kicked ass, yes. But as far as his dialogue was concerned, when he's just like, I want the armor, that armor belongs to my father, I was just like, can you give me a reason just to can they not talk and have a civilized conversation? These people are the most stubborn people I know right now, that kind of thing. And
they kind of are, though, aren't they?
I'm not as in tune on my Star Wars lore as I am my Star Trek lore. I'll give you guys that, but it was very much just I just looked at it and just thinking to myself, can these guys just please use your words? You guys could do so much better with diplomacy.
Yeah, but this is literally this. You guys keep telling me all the fucking time. This is a space western. Yeah. When has the western ever had eloquent fucking dialogue?
Deadwood.
Unforgiven.
Watch Deadwood.
Tombstone.
Okay, look, I disagree with that in the sense that most of Mando's issues he has with characters, it's one of the things I hate about a lot of shows is they do this crap where everything results, all the conflict results as a matter of misunderstanding. Whereas Mando actually will sit there and he will actually try to engage, almost like Captain Kirk type stuff, that actually engage and try to come to a compromise with various factions. This happens over and over again. In fact, it's a recurring theme, and that's exactly what happened here. Is that they came to an agreement about the armor and everything. He got immediately, the first thing they got to do is to take the rifle off Grogu, and they started talking. He took off his jetpack, and they put down their weapons, and that was the beginning of a dialogue there. And then, of course, the major dialogue with them happened at the end. And the best part of that whole dialogue, and that was the thing, is that Boba Fett on screen has never had any damn dialogue worth of shit. And that's the thing. And he finally finally got a sense of the character, because as far as if you've never watched, for example, you've never watched the Clone Wars, which is a bad example anyway, because he was a kid in the Clone Wars. But if you've never watched other than the feature films, all you know is that Boba Fett has he's no good to me dead, and that if he doesn't survive, I want to get paid, and that's all you know.
Cargo hold.
Right, exactly. There's nothing to that character, when initially that character was written to be a much greater influence in that franchise to begin with. It never fleshed itself out. Everybody thought he just looked cool, and to make it that much worse, the only thing he ever did was, as people pointed out, was have like a Keystone Cops Jar Jar Binks moment where he winds up getting bested by a Han Solo who can't see straight. I mean, so they finally added some substance to this character, and now we see that he's not just this villain that works for the Empire. He's honorable. He's a Mandalorian. He has a sense of honor. I mean, there really was no practical reason, even Mando said this, for him to stick around afterward. And he said, look, we promised you that we would keep that child safe, and we're not done until we get the child back to you, period. And what was cool about it was Fennec was right there with him without hesitation, without her loyalty. I like seeing that in character. I like seeing this kind of
agreed. I like that moment.
Mm-hmm. This honor and loyalty with these characters, I goes a long way. And Cara Dune, which
is a very Western kind of a theme, also.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And, you look at the Doc Holliday type. It's all in your head, Greg. There is no tribble.
There is no tribble, Greg. No, zero. Not even one.
So
that's just a plushie.
So we, even at the end, Cara Dune is like, she's like, sign me up, And of course, a few episodes ago,
I want that Marshall's badge. That's something Fansets should be making.
Well, don't worry about it, because the Star Wars community already had one made the day after as a 3D file. It was already out there. But we saw a few episodes ago when he went back to Navarro, and you think about all the stuff that Greef Karga put him through. And now they're all they've been through war together. So now there's this camaraderie in one sense of both with these characters, which I really do like. And the fact that there really wasn't that much convincing to do with Boba Fett, because he is a Mandalorian, he has honor. It made it that much better. You're not worried about him in the next episode where he's going to turn on Mando. It's not going to happen.
I disagree with that.
Well, let's go over to Adam because it's
yeah.
his turn anyway. So go ahead, Adam. Jump in.
Okay. As far as he knows, that's just a child. He has issues with Jedi. He has always had issues with Jedi since his father was killed by one. He doesn't like them. When there's going to be a reckoning when he realizes that he is saving a Jedi, and there's going to be an issue there.
Well, interesting. I think you may.
I don't know if it's going to be story breaking and it's going to make him turn completely against what his word was, but he's not going to like the fact that he is saving a Jedi.
Well, and Mando didn't like droids, but look what happened.
That's true. That
true.
is very true. Now, I mean, when it comes down to the whole episode, knowing the backstory that they had for Boba as he got older in the Clone Wars that they never finished, it was nice to see the Boba Fett that would have killed Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was the Boba Fett that showed himself as, you can try taking me on. I mean, my son asked me after the episode, he goes, "Who do you think would win?" I was like, "Boba would kill the Mandalorian in a heartbeat."
Oh, I totally agree.
I was like, there would be no contest. It would be one shot and the Mando would fall because he knows where to hit him. He would go, "Yeah, you got Beskar on, but you're also wearing leather."
My favorite Boba Fett line though of the episode was when he brings down the two troop carriers, and Mando says, "Nice shot," and he says, "I was aiming for the other one."
Now I did have some slight things when what's his name? Cobb Vanth.
Yeah,
when he had the armor, the missiles in the back on his jetpack, the firing missile, which I love the fact that they actually did the firing missile.
Yeah.
It's just a throwback to the toys, which they've been doing throughout the series. We got the troop transports and all that. They were different missiles. There was no missile in the jetpack when the Mandalorian got it. It was already fired. It was empty.
Yeah, Mando probably replaced it.
Or replaced it with the exact same model because it was a different missile when Cobb Vanth had it. It was a rounded missile. And when Boba puts it on, it's Boba Fett's missile that we all know and love.
He probably had it on him. That's my theory on that.
That's probably it. Yeah. And either way, it was when I knew he was getting the armor. As soon as I saw him look at I was like, he's going to get his armor and he's going to show up and save the day.
The thing about it, you got to remember, I pointed those out to the boys. And where did they get Slave One? It's at Tatooine. Where do you think he parked it there to go party with Jabba and shit went bad? He never lost his ship. So guarantee that's probably where I got this one.
Travis, to address what you were saying that Boba just came across as cold in Legends. I mean, we saw him as a kid in the Clone Wars and he was mouthy and he was still finding his place. But when we go to the Legends stuff, he was always a character of very short, quiet words.
All right, to be fair, I have not read many Legends books. And
you know what? I'm going to give anybody a hero primer. Here's the thing. I've never read a single damn one of them. You know where I get all my information from outside of on-screen media? I get it from Wikipedia because the summaries in the summaries in Wikipedia are so well done. Wikipedia destroys Memory Alpha. I'm sorry. It is so in depth.
Yeah, it's so in depth it defines water.
No, seriously, they don't screw around with that. The entire backstory for Boba Fett, for all the Legends sources, is in Wikipedia. You can read the entire anthology of Boba Fett in one sitting.
Everything. It has everything.
And it's fascinating, and they do it in such a way, like I said, it's like you immediately get an understanding of how stoic that character is, and really the fact that he has never really found a place in the universe. So he's very much I'm with no man. I'm aligned to no one. I'm simply myself. I'm simply for me, type thing. It's not even a matter of being self-centered. It's a matter of just not having a something to align himself with, really, that based on his own personal history.
Okay, so we've heard from everyone, and we're getting close to 2 hours. So I'm just going to raise a couple of issues, and then we'll wind up with our closing segment. So first of all, let's talk about the bigger plot of the season, which is Moff Gideon, who, by the way, looks like Gus Fring and Darth Vader's son. Am I wrong?
Yeah. He looks like Gus Fring in Darth Vader's suit.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks a little awkward.
It looks like a Vader ripoff suit. That's what I was thinking the other day when I was seeing it.
He's got those switches.
Yeah.
Like
it looks like he's trying to be Vader. I'm like,
yeah, I didn't like that. As much as I like the character, and of course I love the actor, I just felt like the Darth Vader suit just kind of cheapened him.
The costume that they had him in the beginning, season 1 is what they should have kept him in.
Yeah, I agree.
I keep expecting him to say, "Enjoy your meal," like he didn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I disagree, Greg. I think Moff Gideon is the best Star Wars villain since, I don't know, maybe Jar Jar Binks. Like, he just isn't. He just isn't like he's like, you know how we were talking about Osira not chewing enough scenery. He just chews too much. Like, he is, like you said, he's Gus Fring
in a Darth Vader
suit. Like,
yeah.
and it does the
wannabe Vader.
The one thing that this show doesn't work for me is him as the villain.
Yeah, the thing is, I agree with you. I think the writing of him is it does not serve the actor, and it doesn't really serve the story. Like, making him a knockoff Vader doesn't. He should be so much more than that.
But he's not a knockoff Vader.
No,
but they make him look like one.
Like, he's like a wannabe. He's a wannabe Hux.
He's a wannabe Kylo Ren.
You're seeing no. He's a wannabe Hux in a Vader suit, sounding like Gus Fring.
Ouch! That's even worse than what I said. And I don't
because he's got the life support thing on doesn't make him another Vader.
No. That's my point. He's not another Vader, so why dress him up like one?
Because
it's a life support suit.
Doesn't need it.
Does he?
He was wearing.
He did survive a TIE fighter crash. He's probably been through some serious shit. Probably one of the reasons he's trying to get Jedi blood is to extend his own life.
No, I don't. I think
there might be something seriously wrong with him. He might be dying, and he's looking for a way to.
He's not doing this to be self-serving.
Here's what I can.
He's serving a greater master.
Serve greater masters and still look out for your own interest.
You know what? I bet you we're gonna. Like I said, I think we're gonna see Snoke.
No, don't. No,
we're not gonna see Snoke.
No, we're not gonna see Snoke. Snoke.
We're gonna get name dropped.
We're gonna get clones. We're gonna get force sensitive clones that will drive towards Snoke / Palpy.
Yeah, eventually, yes.
So we'll get a clone of Palpatine, but we'll be Palpatine.
Imperialos. Who did that?
What's that?
What's Imperialos?
That was Andrew, of course. It always has to be about food with you, doesn't it, Andrew?
Who are you calling fat, Carlos?
Oh, you bitch! You're still mad at me because of that.
You know, I think it's funny. You guys all sit there and you're like, Gideon's trying to do something. Gideon is he was a low-level Moff who was one of the few that was left.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he saw a power void and he was like, oh, I can put my big boy pants on now. And he doesn't know how to wear them.
See, I don't know. I got this sense entirely that, he's a true believer. I never saw Vader as a true believer.
Vader wasn't a true believer.
Right, exactly. And so that's why I don't see the Vader, kind of connection here.
I'm saying not personality-wise. I'm saying just the villainy of it.
Yeah, but I think it's more of I think that's him putting on an act. It's because he was just a Moff out in the middle of nowhere.
Moff is pretty high ranking though.
Yeah, but there were Moffs and then there were Moffs. And there were the ones that were okay. When there was a Moff that was worth something, it was in the core systems.
Whenever I hear Moff, I'm sorry, I just have to laugh. It's another dumb Star Wars name, like Grogu.
I hear Moff and I think the Barf.
You know what?
It'd be Rin Doof.
I would agree with you, but Tarkin was the Moth of the Outer Rim.
Well, he was a Grand Moff, and that's different.
He was the one that looked over all of them.
I always think of Muff when I hear Muff.
Isn't a Moff basically?
That's what I thought too, Jason.
What?
Muff.
I always think of Muff when I hear Muff.
Me too.
Grand Muff Tarkin.
Okay, there was a difference. Tarkin was a vicious, evil man who really was a true believer.
Yeah.
And Gideon, I'm pretty like I said. I mean, we're talking the Empire's gone. I mean, it's scattered. And having played Battlefront and having played the other games that tie in and read the books, they're scattered. It's like there is no central empire still.
Here's what I'm gonna offer, Adam. I actually agree with everything you just said. My only problem is they have not actually given us that exposition in this show yet. Mm-hmm. And so that means up to now, he feels underwritten, undercooked. If you fill in what you're filling in from your headcanon and project that onto what the little we've seen of Moff.
He's not referencing headcanon.
No, his own. This is his thoughts.
This is what I read into the character when I see how he's portrayed.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because Battlefront is canon.
Yeah,
yes.
that's not what I'm referring. I'm referring to Adam's ideas.
Gotcha.
And his theories about this character. And I think they're solid. I think they're great. I just don't think we've actually seen them in the character so far. If they'd done that, I would be more into him than I am right now.
I look at Moff Gideon and I see Count Dooku. And I'm not kidding either.
I don't think there's a look.
I'm seeing a pawn that is going to be shocked that he's eventually betrayed.
Well, that's
I could see that. I could see that.
Too. And by the way, for the record, Moff Gideon was not Moff Gideon. Count Dooku. Count Dooku was not done justice in the prequel films. He is, however, done a tremendous amount of justice in the Clone Wars.
Yes, he is.
Count Dooku in the Clone Wars is a totally different character.
Yeah.
Look, Gideon is going to be betrayed by one of Palpatine's clones.
Nice, Andrew.
No.
Yeah. Andrew, you weren't even alive in the 70s.
Being pulled by someone who's already been name dropped.
Oh yeah. It's Thrawn.
Thrawn
is going to be the one.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. It's probably going to be Thrawn.
Right.
Live action. I am going to just.
But that's not. But we won't see Thrawn until if we see him this season, it won't be till the end of the episode.
I don't think we'll see him in this season.
But it all fits. It all ties together.
No, I agree with you.
When they brought Thrawn in Rebels, now they had no clue what was going to come with the sequels by that point, but the aspect of Thrawn and where he comes from and where the Empire eventually heads to when they are finally pushed out of the galaxy, they go to the outer regions and the unknown regions. That's where the First Order is born. That's where everything comes to fruition. That's where Exegol is. So it all fits that Thrawn would be the one who, I don't know, I haven't read the last book yet, how much of the Emperor's ear he actually has and how much he knows of what's going on. But if there was going to be a character that was going to set in motion Palpatine's return, I'd use that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Okay, awesome. Okay, any last words before we wind up, go into our last segment?
Yes, calm down, Jason. Grand Moff Tarkin was very vogue in this 70s film.
Grand Muff Tarkin was very in vogue.
Yes, I think what he means. I think what he means is 70s porn.
So I have.
Wait. Going back to the writing aspects of things, if you really, really want to think about how Star Wars is written, turn your back to A New Hope and just listen to the dialogue. It sounds like a bad softcore.
It does.
Well, there's the whole argument that Star Wars, from a dialogue perspective, none of them are really very good.
No,
the dialogue themselves aren't stellar, witty. This isn't Aaron Sorkin writing.
X-Men bad, but...
Well, no, the comedy parts of it are actually really well done.
Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford has famously
Harrison Ford, yeah.
Harrison Ford famously said to George Lucas, George, you may be able to write this shit, but you can't say it. This is what he said.
But no, but like even the "I love you, I know," like even though that iconic line that was improv.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, right. Okay.
So basically, we've all concluded that Star Wars is best suited when George Lucas isn't writing it.
Okay. Correctamundo, son, over to you.
I have a question about the mental state of Miss Lady Stiper Witch. Dude was firing mortars at you. Why didn't you prioritize taking his ass out first?
And the mounted gun.
Okay.
Fog of war.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking at too.
The weather was absolutely clear.
I thought about this. I wanted to call it down. I didn't want to say this. Is that I know there's a lot of there's a lot of talk about the AR shooting, and it being beautiful, but everything it looks all their sets, all their outdoor sets, all the things they're using that for really do seem rounded.
I'm pretty sure some of this was shot in location.
This was shot in location.
Yeah, I think some was for sure.
Yeah.
That mountain was definitely location.
Yeah, right.
Now, I got a question before
At
we
least
move
it wasn't
on.
Vasquez Rocks.
Is it my imagination? Because I've watched the episode twice. I watched it by myself during the day, and then my kids came home, and my daughter has to watch it, so we watched it. Am I mistaken in thinking that they used a separate head on the Yoda on Grogu's puppet when he was in his trance? Because my daughter, she goes, "My God, he looks just like Yoda."
I thought that too, especially when like his hair was more like Yoda.
Yes.
Hair.
He looked, she pointed it out, and I was like, and I went back and rewound it. I was like, oh my God, she's right. He looks different.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yoda.
I got that too.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, go back and watch it, you guys, because I noticed that today. I was watching that scene a second time.
Maybe he was in commune with Yoda Ghost.
It's possible.
So my favorite part of this episode was one that I didn't even experience. I just heard it upstairs because I watched it last night when it first came. The kids didn't get to watch it today. I'm upstairs at my desk doing work, and all I hear is, "Oh my God, it's Boba Fett!" from my kids upstairs. That's all I heard.
Well, that's definitely a lot of action, a lot of plot, a lot of character in a very small amount of time in this episode. I think it's the best episode of the season. I'm going to start off with the round robin. I'm giving it a 9.5. Justin, you're next.
9.5.
All right, Ensign Beard.
$100 freaking.
$100. I paid $129. I don't know where you found it for $100.
Son,
I was rounding down.
Oh, okay.
I honestly, I don't know where to rate this. I guess I would say an 8. Yeah.
Really? Why so
Probably
low?
an 8. There was a lot of dude. Did you have to be this stupid in this episode?
I find that the larger the number of stormtroopers in an episode, the more that happens.
Hey, we finally got to hear a stormtrooper call another stormtrooper an idiot.
Yeah, we got to see a captain act like a captain.
That has been my absolute favorite thing of this series is hearing an actual diverse range of voices in stormtrooper deaths.
Yeah, they ran out of clones eventually. Okay, Ross, over to you.
4.5 neck run overlords.
Oh wow, that's like 9. All right, Pantsless Wonder.
I'm giving 9.5 only because I expect the next 2 episodes are just going to kick the shit out of
That's what I'm counting on too.
How many episodes
And finally, Lane, how do you and Travis weigh in on this one?
800 pieces of the ship.
No, sir.
Giving you all a dose of your own medicine, guys.
And that's the tragedy right there. The loss of the Razor Crest was the tragedy.
That was the tragedy.
You will get the Razor Crest Alpha, and you'll all be fine.
As soon as I saw that ship blow up, I'm like, I have to make that card for Jason.
You want a serious rating?
You end with Travis, and I have to give mine.
if you want a serious rating from me, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Sun. I will give it an 8 out of 10 as well.
All right, very good. All right, so we got 2 episodes to go. We'll see.
Don't forget Adam.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Adam. Adam, you get to wind us up again.
I'll give it a 9, maybe a 9.5, just because we got to hear Tamira Morrison say Tatooine the way only he could say it twice.
How was it? Tatooine?
Tatooine.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Tatooine.
That's right. I've heard that. Okay, awesome. Very good. Okay, so let's wind up the episode with our regular segment, which is what are we watching? So what have you seen this week that you would recommend to our folks at home? Let's start with Travis and Lane.
The only thing I've really been watching outside of Star Trek right now is the Animaniacs reboot.
Yes.
I've been watching that. I've kind of started over with my roommate after I got back from Colorado. We are currently on episode 7, I believe, and I mean, like, it's a really well done reboot. I will say that there are a few things I don't really care about it. I think it gets a little overly gross at times, to the point where it's like, okay, this is done purely for shock, and it isn't exactly my cup of tea. And I don't exactly remember the old Animaniacs doing that, but I can't say that I watched the old Animaniacs like growing up as a kid. I watch it when my roommate puts it on, because he was much more into it than I was as a child. But I mean, for what it is, I'm having a lot of fun with it. There's definitely a lot of really good humor, a lot of really good jokes, and yeah, that's about it. Otherwise, I've just been writing again.
Oh, it was good to hear that. Son, what have you been watching this week?
So this week, I was able to watch the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, I still have to watch that.
Yes.
It was actually quite enjoyable and had more of a coherent storyline than the original.
Maybe I should.
Did you all see the article I posted in our chat, in which Anthony Daniels, right, who played C-3PO, described the production of the first Star Wars Holiday Special as some kind of weird funeral?
That would make sense.
Which is really funny. Which is really
special. It is the weird funeral, so
well,
it kind of works out.
Irony, of course, being that it celebrates Life Day.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So were you done, son?
So yeah, I watched it. I just no Chef Gourmanda.
The Tribble's very upset too, obviously.
She was literally the only coherent and best part of the original holiday special. Like, honestly. So not having her in the Lego one, that was a shame.
Did they have Lumpy in it? Was Lumpy in it?
Yep.
Yes.
Really?
The whole family was in it. The whole family was in it.
But it was Lego Lumpy, not real Lumpy.
Thank God.
So it was like canon, right?
What?
Lumpy is canon.
In my universe.
Well, in Sean
Pantsless
O'Halloran.
He doesn't go by Lumpy, but he's
Lumpy
there.
is
He's Lumpy
now
short. Like
Lumpy is now canon simply because he's in the Lego one.
Yeah,
No, it's because he was actually written into one of the books.
of course.
One of the post sequel or during the sequel, whatever they call it, the post Disney books, which are all considered canon. He was written into it. Lumpy is canon.
There you go.
Lumpy.
I guess we can be thankful about that, Carlos. Grogu is a better name than Lumpy.
Is it though?
Yes, it is. Don't
Lumpy,
even try and debate this, Carlos.
Is it Lumpy Jody's nickname for you, Carlos?
Oh. Put up the card,
I'm
Justin.
fired.
Put up the card. You know which one I mean.
Yes.
That's the one. That's the one. Thank you. Thank you, Lane.
Potty mouth.
Hey, Lane emotes when necessary. That was an upset Tribble, folks. Okay, let's move over to the Eyebrows of Doom. Ross, what did you watch this week?
Oh, shoot. No, I didn't have much of a chance, but the few things that because cramming for finals. But of the few things I did watch this week, I could go into the second season of VTuber D&D. I could go into What If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Translator, which is just a surrealist mess. I could also go into the latest in both Red versus Blue and Ruby, but instead, I'll talk about the real-life drama that I observed this week between YouTuber Arch Warhammer, Studio FOW, renowned porn makers, and the Revenge of the Woke.
Wow.
So,
that
Studio
happened all at once.
decided to create a video game after producing porn tribute videos for so long, called Subverse. It promised actual tactical gameplay, like good tactical gameplay, with a bunch of sexy waifus that you build loyalty with and engage in massive life-like adventure throughout a spanning galaxy with 3 color-coded endings.
Oh my god!
That's a joke.
Anyway, you're about to kill Travis.
Anyway, they reached out to Arch, who has done stuff with them in the past. Arch has a bit of a reputation of being an asshole. He makes edgy and sometimes crass jokes that some people mistake as racism. He is banned in the Warhammer 40k Reddits. He's actually persona non grata with Games Workshop itself. So when Studio FOW reached out to him to showcase and preview the game, it caused a bit of backlash with the Revenge of the Woke, and they just spammed FOW about all the heinous things he's done. The guy's a racist. Are you really associating yourself with this guy and what he stands for? So they issued a retraction. Arch saw this retraction, reached out to try and figure out what was going on, and after a conversation with several people, they retracted that retraction and said, you know what, we're not engaging in politics, we just want to have fun. People say what they want, which resulted in
I'm confused.
outrage.
This is a porn company.
Yes.
This is woke people complaining to a porn company.
Yep.
That wheeze is gonna get me, man. That wheeze is getting me. It just screams. What's the name of Spider-Man's boss?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yes, it screams that guy.
So yeah, that's the drama that really hooked my attention this week.
Wow.
Arch is a bit of an asshole. I love his lore videos. I dislike a lot of the politics that he talks about. He recently did a coverage of Starship Troopers, both the book and the films, that kind of pissed me off. But I mean, he's not actually a racist. The guy just makes bad jokes, jokes in bad taste.
Okay, let's go over to the Pants Wonder, Sean P. O'Halloran.
What have I been watching this week? Well,
And by the way, Sean, why did you hold up your cat when you have a fluffy new puppy you could have been showing off?
He is very depressed and displeased about the arrival of the new puppy. He is not happy about any of this. This is the look I keep getting from him.
That looks like every cat I know.
There's a certain intent with him, and that basically is what the fuck is going on.
You're going to have shit in your seat because that's the look that he's giving you.
He does not. Actually, he's looking at me for answers because he's not giving it anything else.
He's looking at me for answers.
Yeah,
that is an existential cat, man.
It really is. He has no confidence in the current administration of everyone else in the house. So yeah, so he's looking at me, and I don't have a lot for him, so I'm just trying to comfort him. So what I've been watching this week, I found a show on Netflix that has apparently been on the History Channel for several years now. It's called Forged in Fire. And have you guys ever seen this show?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, this show is.
Now watching it.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, it is a reality. It is a reality show about blacksmithing knives and swords and shit like that, and it should not be nearly as compelling as it is. It is.
I know what you're talking about. Yes,
it
I am
just
aware of
sucks
this.
you in, and it's like you want to keep watching. One of the things that really catches my, first of all, the skill of these guys. The guys come into it. It's great because it's basically guys that turn this into it's a hobby, and they've turned it into something more for them. And what's interesting is that, like, and I did some reading out. It's like, look, if you learn, anyone can do this. It's the kind of thing you just need to put the time into it, and you too can learn how to do this type of thing. And that's pretty much the consensus on this. But what's particularly interesting is that, unlike most reality competition shows, everyone is so nice to each other on this.
It's like the Great British Baking Show.
Yeah, I mean, they support each other, and you never see anyone when they get eliminated say, "Oh, that wasn't fair. I shouldn't have gone." They readily acknowledge their faults and praise the other contestants on the show, and it's a lot of fun. And when they get to that final round, when they're making they have to create from scratch this weapon of historical value. The work these guys do is just amazing, and what they wind up showing to present the judges. And it's not just a matter of because they put these things through these strength tests. And it's like I said, in this era where we, I said this about that hot lava show, where don't touch the carpet, or don't touch the lava, or whatever it was.
Which is actually compelling viewing, I have to say.
It is. It's like the same thing. It's like it's the competition nature of this.
The floor is lava.
The floor is lava, right? The competitive nature of this. It's like watching sports, and it's really a lot of fun. So I'm kind of hooked on it. So I highly recommend it.
All right,
Adam.
It will kill you. Exactly.
That particular show will have you.
Okay.
We
need to go to Adam because we're running out of time. Adam, go ahead.
Let's see. Aside from Discovery, Mandalorian, and the Animaniacs on a constant loop, thanks to my son. Like literally, it's like, and I don't particularly enjoy the new ones. I miss the old characters. There's something missing, and I don't know what it is.
I hear
They're
you
not
there.
bad, but there's something missing, and I don't know where it's missing. But
Episode 5 actually.
Let's see.
Old character thing.
Caught the last end on FX of Black Narcissus. Of the third episode. So
was it good?
Like, I gotta go back. I went and watched all 3 episodes on demand, and I was like, you know what? This is actually a pretty good show.
I thank you for bringing that up. I completely forgot about it because I did want to see that. Thank you.
What is this show?
So that's what I watched.
I'm not familiar.
Black Narcissus.
What is it about?
It is about a group of nuns on a remote clifftop palace that was once it's in the Himalayas. It's set in, it's kind of like this, it's a drama.
Or Himalayas, if you're from Tatooine.
The Himalayas. There you go. Yes, Himalayas. There's nuns that don't want to be there. They don't want to be there. There is the head nun is kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a man involved, and there are 2 younger nuns. There's always a man involved, but it's obvious that the woman became a nun because of a man, and she still has memories of this kind of stuff. And this dude obviously brings those memories back because she finds him attractive. And then there's like this underlying supernatural aspect to it that's going on. And it's really, really odd because they set up camp in what used to be an old palace on the top of some mountain that was Hindu. It was like they got Hindu imagery all over the place. So, I mean, I'm only 3 episodes in. They only have 3 episodes done. So I don't know where they're going with it and what they're going to do, but it's definitely worth a watch. It's well written.
It's the start of the Immortal Iron Fist.
I'm from Kong, you know that? Yeah, you told us 10
You
times
had-
in the past hour.
Yeah, that's sort of like Burnham changing so much in 1 year.
You had me at nuns trapped in the Himalayas.
It's all good. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to get trapped into it the way I did, but I was like,
Look,
Keep your pants on, Holland.
seriously, if someone told you, like, if you're a Breaking Bad fan, I mean, I didn't hardly know anyone that was a Breaking Bad fan from the beginning, because if someone told you that, yeah, there's a show about this this high school chemistry teacher who's down
in underwear,
you're right, who's going into the meth business, that does not sound like compelling program. It didn't. To me.
It didn't to me either.
And then when it got on Netflix and I started watching it, and you become hooked. And like it's like, and that happens with all the best storytelling. So now that you've recommended it, I'm on it. I want to.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thanks, Adam.
Breaking Bad started the binge.
Yep, it did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It did.
I think I've seen 4 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Dude, you need to see it. It is
I still need to finish
rewarding viewing.
Yep.
What?
It is.
You haven't finished it?
I've kind of been a little busy.
Yeah, he's got a family in school.
You got an excuse.
He'll get around to it. He'll get around to it. Okay. Thank you, Adam. And Justin.
All right. I started to rewatch Stargate SG-1 since it's now on Netflix. I'm caught up on DuckTales finally, which is ending after this season, apparently.
I am pissed about that.
I don't understand why it's ending, but apparently Disney decided to cut loose. We'll have to talk about that maybe next week.
Fuck Disney.
Yeah.
The way of all flesh, my friends. The way of all flesh.
Got caught up with Animaniacs, and I think what Adam and Travis picking up on, they are trying too hard to be like the 90s self, but they just can't do it because the 90s was its own thing and it's unique time, and it's not what's going on right now.
I kind of, I kind of think that Animaniacs, a reboot of it, because it was for its time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a staple of its time.
Meta was a thing then.
Meta was new and uncharted territory. Today, it's like everybody does it.
Everybody does it, right? But it's kind of like when they came out with the new MST3Ks, I did enjoy them, but they're not the same.
That's fair.
It's like reboot of reboot.
I think MST3K. I think it just worked better in the 80s and 90s. I just think it did.
Or the time when everybody was a critic, and you actually had to listen to reviewers.
It's kind of like if they tried to reboot Berman Trek, it would not work today.
No, it wouldn't work.
Orville.
And, yeah,
which by the way started production on season 3 again today.
Oh, good. Okay.
Charles, I did say it would not work today. Did I not? So,
yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm actually curious to see, because it's been so long before its return, whether anyone's going to give a shit anymore. Honestly,
the give a shit factor is definitely a problem for that show. The other side, but and it's a shame too, because as I understand it, the show has gone a major overhaul in its tone, in their style,
and that could be a problem
and everything. But it needs it. I mean, look, season
it probably needed it.
Seasons 1 and 2 of TNG needed a major overhaul because they were trying to copy TOS and it didn't work. So I can see, if they're smart enough looking at this the way as I understand they are, then
I haven't made it through one episode of the Orville without dozing off. I'm being serious.
That's because you're getting old, man.
Yeah, I think it's that.
And another thing I started doing, Ross will appreciate this, I started playing Battlefront 2 and Fallen Order.
Okay. All right. Jason.
So what I figured out is if I don't want to be tortured with watching Hallmark Christmas movies, because, I can only watch Candace Cameron Bure so many times, falling in love and not be me. Anyway.
Don't get me started.
I got the wife into watching The Flight Attendant on HBO Max.
Oh, is that any good?
Oh no, it is really good. It's this kind of this thriller, and it's and you're going through it, and you have somebody whose recollection of a night was hazy, and so you have her altered realities coming through. It's just really entertaining, enjoyable television. like it's dropping once a week, so we actually binged the first 3 episodes, and so now we're we got to go back and watch the episode that dropped yesterday. So, but no Hallmark Christmas movies this week.
Wow, good for you. You managed to survive a whole week without him. Okay, Travis and Lane.
You already went to me.
Oh, I went with you. That's right. So I think that is Adam, right?
No, you went with Adam too.
I did. Who am I missing?
You're getting old, dude.
It's hard to keep track of so many of you people.
I don't think you've done
I think you're on you.
We're on me. Okay, so I actually didn't get a chance to watch a lot. That was different from what I've been watching this week. So, his Dark Materials again, which is getting better by the episode, and the new Hardy Boys on Hulu dropped this week. I think just today, right? Yeah, today's December 4th. I've only seen the first episode, but it's actually, interestingly, it is set in the 80s from what I can tell. It's certainly not set modern day. And I'm still not sure why they chose to do that. But,
Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Because, the TV show, The Hardy Boys, was set in the 80s as well. Of course, it was contemporary for the 80s, but I was wondering if it was because of that. But no, Stranger Things makes more sense. But it's pretty stylishly done. It's got a good cast. If you guys like the Hardy Boys when you were kids, you probably will like this show. Just give it a shot. So I'm going to give it at least another episode or two before I decide whether to go all. It's 13 episodes, so it's a longish season for these days. So we'll see. And that's it. Those shows, plus of course Mandalorian and Discovery. So that's it for me. But we've got coming up, not next week, but the week after, is the premiere of season 5 of The Expanse, which it's going to be on Amazon Prime, as we all know, which means 3 episodes all at once, and then weekly after that. So when it drops, try to watch as many of the 3s you can, folks, so we can.
I gotta watch The Expanse.
You've got to watch The Expanse.
Yes.
It is.
I'm a busy boy.
Although what I'll tell you, Travis, is the first couple episodes, they're very dense. So
I got the first season. I just need to. I got through the first season.
Okay. Then you're through the hard part.
And I will vouch for this because first couple episodes I tried to watch them and I couldn't stand it. Carlos and Sean talked me into watching the rest of the first season.
We were after you for weeks about that.
Yeah, I mean,
I finally did it.
That. I've just got a full schedule on me right now.
Yeah,
I know, but you need to catch up though, Travis, so we can talk about it with you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the week. A couple of just news items for things to watch out. Of course, we've got the trailer dropped for the Doctor Who holiday special, which features Captain Jack Harkness. Very exciting.
It really does look like they just tried to reboot the Winston Churchill episode.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just wondering if that's a function of it being a trailer as opposed to what we've actually seen. But it features a new origin for the Daleks, or for a different sort of Dalek.
Daleks
so
again.
I don't know anything about Doctor Who.
Oh my gosh, Travis.
Yeah, you need to catch up on some stuff, Travis.
I don't need to watch Doctor Who. There's too much of I'm already invested in almost 800 episodes of Star Trek.
You really need. I mean, I was the same way when I started on this show. I had never watched Doctor Who, and we've been watching it with the family, and it's great. It's campy, but
not that campy. Not that campy.
Some of it is.
Not compared to pre-reboot Doctor Who, which was awful.
No, but it's still campier. It's still campier than most.
It's definitely campy.
No, you know what though? The reason it doesn't strike me as campy. To me, campy is sort of self-consciously satirical, whereas it's not. They are completely sincere about it.
Yeah, like the episode where the big dolls, where the kids are turning into big dolls. Yeah, they're serious about it, but it looks ridiculous. But it's still really freaking enjoyable.
And it works. It works.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to watch, we're not suggesting.
And they fart, too. Remember when they disinflate? They're like,
oh, God.
It's hilarious.
We're not suggesting
You're not selling the show for me, Carlos.
Sorry, we're not pointing
the
to
mannequins all come to life and they turn people into plastic.
Okay, folks, we're trying to get him to watch it. Okay, there's much better stuff than that.
Dinosaurs on a spaceship.
If you don't watch anything else, just watch the David Tennant Doctor. And
I get that a lot.
And a big plus of Doctor Who, a holiday special every year.
Yes.
It doesn't involve Harvey Korman.
I was going to say BR.
Okay. Quick other news tidbits also coming up this month on the 17th is on CBS All Access is The Stand, which looks to be maybe just based on the trailers looks to be like it may be the best of the 400 adaptations of this book. I'm sorry.
Only 400?
I love the book, but good Lord, do we need this many adaptations of it? But this one actually looks like it might.
Thank you.
I couldn't put it better myself.
I'm going to wait for the sequel, The Sit.
I'm waiting for my sequel, which is the third trilogy, which is The Nap.
Even better.
Okay, so to sign off, goodbye and farewell to all the many monoliths on the planet.
Did we talk about
nature?
Talk about the satellite?
Which satellite?
The one that collapsed.
Arecibo?
Oh, the really old one that came down. Oh no, you're talking about the observatory.
Yeah.
Yes. R.I.P. Arecibo Observatory. Yeah. They released video of it falling apart, and it's really sad. And actually, I let's see who runs it. The National Science Foundation.
It was a domino
National Science
over the weekend.
Yeah, right. It just got worse and worse and worse. I hope they rebuild it. I mean, the National Science Foundation is talking about leading an effort to try to raise money to rebuild it. It would be a shame because it's really the pride of one of the big prides of Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm. And it's in a great location in the valley. I mean, it forms a natural bowl.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, I've been there. It's amazing. It's amazing.
For England, James.
What's that?
For England.
For England, James.
Oh yeah, for England, James. Yes.
And last note about those monoliths: the last one was taken down by a bunch of MAGA hats saying that Jesus was better than space aliens.
Yeah, Jesus is better. That was the one in California, of course.
Yeah.
But Jesus is a space alien.
On the note of the monoliths, I do believe that nature's art should be left to nature, if that makes sense.
I kind of agree. You're talking about the people who took down the one in Utah, who said,
yes.
Yeah, because when you saw all of the people who were like just destroying the landscape, trying to find it, it's a shame. Sad.
I'm very much a guy who loves hiking. I've been to the Arches in Moab, Utah area multiple times, and I very much am all for please stay on the pads. Respect this area. It's very unique out there, and
All right. Well, Romania, I hope they took down the Romanian one too, right?
Yeah,
that one came down too.
Pop up. They're getting removed as quick as they get. As soon as they get reported on, they're gone.
So I have a question. Is this what Banksy is doing now? Just setting up everywhere?
Could be hilarious.
See, I don't know what the big deal is. According to Sean, he's been doing that all over public restrooms for years now.
Yeah, they have to call in the MAGA plumbers to clean up after him every time.
toilet extension.
Yeah, it's called Make America Smell Good Again. Oh, thank you. Okay, so that's it for the show for this week. We will, of course, be sticking around for a short while after for our regular post-show Florida Man segment. You are all welcome to stay. You as well, Adam, but I understand if you need to go because it is late on the East Coast. You've got children.
Florida Man.
But we love our Florida mans. So
and this has been a good week for us Florida natives.
Indeed. So we're going to stick around, folks at home. We hope you do too. Otherwise, thank you for joining us this week. We will be back next week, focusing again on next week's episodes of Discovery and The Mandalorian. Only 2 Mandalorian episodes left. So catch up. Discovery, of course, has another 5 episodes left. Thank you, Justin.
Maybe Baby Groot can save Grogu.
Or Baby Yoda.
Well, yeah, when you have
Baby Grogu.
Baby Grogu and Groot, and then you get this.
I think it really does not work for me at all.
Get new stuff.
Yes, get new stuff, Justin.
Get new stuff.
You speak for us all, Ross.
It doesn't shock anymore.
Okay, so thank you for joining us. We will next week we will announce what our revised dates will be for our Christmas and New Year's episodes, because of course they both fall on Fridays this year, so we will probably not be broadcasting on Friday nights, since
I would hope not.
Most of us have family. So we'll figure out which alternate night we will be doing, and let you know on next week's episode, and also, of course, on the Real Super Geeks Facebook page, which you are always welcome to check out. Adam, thank you so much for joining us this week. We will certainly have you back again. Always great to see your animated self. See what I did there? And
I just got to come back to break Ross.
Yes, we enjoy breaking Ross, really, for some reason. I think my 2 favorite people. Yeah, my 2 favorite people to break on this show are Ross and Travis, but not Lane. I don't want to break Lane.
Well, Travis is fun because he gets the reaction, and then he'll be saying, "Stop
it!" And in third place probably would be Jason, but you
can't break me.
Ross is
all right, without a jackhammer.
So I got the first Florida Man segment. Sorry.
Okay, great. Right, so we'll sign off officially. Stick around for Florida Man. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.
Okay,
all right. Take it easy, guys.
All right. Thanks, Travis. Thanks, Lane. Especially Lane. I just love him so much. He's so cute.
Hi,
son. All right. Okay. What do we got on deck for Florida Man this week?
Oh, we got.
I got one. Florida Man who relentlessly insisted that he was William Shatner's son, just realized he wasn't.
Florida Man, beat me up.
You know what's really weird is I realized that myself recently.
Mm-hmm.
I got one.
No, but you know who this is, right? This is the guy.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about.
Who's claimed it. So apparently his mom was a little bit of a
exaggerator,
promiscuous time. And he found out that his real father, and again, this guy changed his last name to Shatner because he was so convinced that he was Shatner's kid. But he found out his real father's name was Benjamin Friedman.
Oh,
that's even worse.
And thankfully to Ancestry.com, that's how we found all this out.
You're telling us he could have done this 4 years ago and found this out?
No, this is just new. He just found this out like just weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He could have found this out 4 years ago thanks to Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
sponsor us. Please sponsor us.
Yeah, Ancestry. Our sponsor. Okay.
No sponsor.
Florida Man punches cab driver, screams, "I'm Rick James, bitch!"
Florida Man.
Side notes. Boycott the Dave Chappelle show.
He asked people to boycott his own show.
Yeah, because the companies that are buying the rights to it, none of that money goes to Dave Chappelle because he got screwed in his contract by Comedy Central.
Oh, fuck that.
But that one skit is so funny.
Yeah. It'll be there when they finally decide to pay him again.
Yeah.
What the hands say to the face.
Slap.
Florida man under investigation for registering to vote in Georgia encourages others to do the same.
Florida man.
Florida man voter fraud.
Here's mine. Florida man blasts cop's theme song in his car during traffic stop, ends up in jail. Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Florida man.
Florida man gets prison for shooting flare gun while drunk, prompting Coast Guard search and rescue.
I'm glad he got rescued.
He got rescued from himself.
Wait. Repeat that headline, please.
The one I just gave?
No, the one Jason just gave.
Florida man gets prison for shooting flare gun while drunk, prompting a Coast Guard search and rescue.
Okay.
Yeah, rescue.
I needed to make sure.
Not-
I needed to make sure that wasn't the same headline, just worded differently than what I've got right now.
Go for it.
Missing Florida man found clinging to capsized vessel 86 miles offshore.
Isn't that sort of normal? Yeah, I guess that's normal for Florida.
Florida man.
That's Florida man.
It's not Florida Man, but WWE to resume live TV tapings being deemed an essential service by Florida Governor's Office. Vince
Florida governor.
You know, son, you left off the best little bit about that capsized Florida man story, which is that he was rescued by a banana boat. Florida boat.
A Florida man arrested for reportedly leaving feces obscene notes in mailboxes.
Those feces deserve every mean note they get.
Are you sure that was a Florida man? Because that sounds like something the Kentucky man would do.
No, it was in Atlantic Beach, Florida.
Florida man.
Oh man, here's a good one. Florida man wants to impress his lover by buying her new tires for her car. Very romantic. He has a problem though. He's broke. So what's a Florida man to do? Rob a bank.
Of course.
Florida man.
Well, apparently if you're a Florida man in a burning house, it's a good idea to scream because an Amazon driver will hear you and save you. That was in Tampa.
Wow, what?
So, folks at home, scream when you're burning if you want to get saved. They figured it out in Florida.
Supergeeks does not recommend you use that as a form of emergency rescue. Please use proper emergency rescue services. Thank you.
Florida woman arrested for driving without valid license. Quote, shoved her identification card up her vagina, end quote.
Oh.
That's
and she has a tattoo of Maleficent on her neck.
Oh, now that I love. That is a good nice. That's a nice.
On her neck?
On her neck.
Yeah. I'm sorry. From the collarbone up, you just don't get tattooed.
I totally agree with you on that. But if you're going to have any kind of tattoo on your neck, Maleficent is an excellent choice.
Florida woman.
Wondering if you can get cash back.
Florida pastor packs Sunday church amid pandemic uptick. The River Church in Tampa, packed with people, says he bought 13 machines that kills basically everything airborne.
Wow.
Okay.
He previously got in trouble for doing the same thing during the first wave.
Well, at least he sanitized the church, right?
Pitching trailer park inside a future Trump presidential library. But you know, we already have that with the Bill Clinton presidential library.
Yeah, because it's literally a trailer home over the fucking river. I know. I every time I go to Little Rock, I see that bastard, and it pisses me off.
Because it's not grand enough for you?
It's literally a glass fucking trailer house looking thing over the Arkansas River. It's like literally hanging over the Arkansas River. It's like, of all the things you could use for a fucking presidential library, you had to choose.
They could have made it cigar shape.
Okay, I think that calling it a trailer is a bit of an overstatement. I'm looking at photos of it right now, and it's actually not a bad looking building. It is certainly kind of rectangular, but it's not a bad looking building.
It looks like a big, huge double white on blocks, Carlos.
I don't think it's like that. The only thing they share in common is that they're rectangular.
Okay, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, just put Clinton Presidential Library into Google Images. You'll see.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's a trailer.
It really isn't, you guys. It's not.
It is a trailer on blocks.
It is literally not that.
I mean, seriously, the only way they could have made this worse was like, what are we gonna shape it like? A blue dress. I mean, come on.
wait.
Funny.
I'm going to let's share for those at home, Jason.
Oh god.
Florida man arrested for reportedly putting feces in mailboxes.
Someone already did that one.
Just did that one.
Damn.
Yeah, we did that one. Sorry.
Damn.
Got
That was number one.
This next one is funny, not because of what actually happened, but because the headline is Florida man does good. Like they're confused because a guy in Florida saved a dolphin that was tangled in a rope.
Florida man pulls a gun on driver who told him he had a small penis.
Ooh.
Florida man.
That one last week.
Florida man finds 1.2 million worth of cocaine while walking down the beach.
Oh.
Looks like a Penga jettisoned its cargo when it got caught.
So here's one from the world of world records and the one for pain too. Florida woman breaks Lego walk world record.
Okay. Here's one. A Florida man gives a car to substitute teacher as gift. Then did it ignite? Did it blow up? Sorry, that might have been metaphorical. Confusing headline.
Alrighty.
Well, this is a finally. Florida man to be released early after serving 31 years
On a marijuana charge. I saw that one.
marijuana crime.
That was 31 out of 90 years that he was sentenced.
Damn, Florida man.
Florida woman arrested after drinking in town square, getting lost, pissing herself.
Oh, yeah. I think. Yeah, didn't we do that one last week? I don't remember.
This was posted 3 days ago.
That's Florida. That's an every other week thing there.
There's the vagina license one.
Florida woman pleads guilty in sex string involving Patriots owner Robert Kraft.
Well, Florida woman.
Florida man places cat sculpture on roof in 1948, inspiring decades of concerned phone calls.
Now this is just plain. This is
Yeah.
just plain dumb. Florida women break Guinness record for Lego walking relay.
I just said that.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah, she just said that one. The Lego.
And nobody said shit because I guess they were all too busy squirming from all the pain.
yeah. Florida woman used fake dating profile to advertise free meth at rival's home.
Oh my god.
In a Florida man story that is remarkable for its lack of anyone dying from doing this, a Florida man shares his family's technique for thawing Thanksgiving turkey by throwing it into his swimming pool to defrost.
We did that one last week.
Florida man, yeah. We did that last week.
Because everybody loves that fresh chlorine taste.
Indeed. Apparently, it was a video that went viral this week.
Of course, those videos go viral every year about this time. It seems like, this happened a few years ago. Like the one who was sharing Shackers turkey frying video.
Wow, that was a long one. Whoa, are you out of breath, Justin?
Okay, Boomhauer.
That was wow.
Florida
What was that,
man
Adam?
shoots sister in buttocks with a BB gun for making him a phallic birthday cake.
Ooh.
A what?
A phallic birthday cake.
We used to have a very famous bakery here in Seattle that would make phallic-shaped pastries to order. It had, what was its name? It was really, really funny.
Master Bakes.
No, but that would have been a good one. That would have been a good one.
That's a very pointy cake.
I'm just saying, if you're going to send a bag of dicks to someone, don't send it to someone who might hunt you down.
Don't send it to Jeff Gray.
You said the name, I didn't.
Florida man Grinch steals village fridge in Liberty City. It's one of those outdoor, fridges that everybody can take a thing from and put stuff in. Dude literally stole the whole fucking fridge.
That's not what it's there for, bro.
The Erotic Bakery, that's what it was called here in Seattle, but it closed in 2014. A shame. They would make penises, breastises, vaginas to order.
Florida man uses $4 million from PPP loan to buy Lamborghini, then spends the rest on dating websites.
That's an old one.
Yeah, I recognize that, but it deserves a repeat.
It's
so ridiculous.
That's like finding out that some of the companies that were direct recipients of PPP loans were, guess what? Owned by the Trump family. Shocker.
You would have ever thought that they were misuse cash. No,
yeah, then they also went to places like the Snack
Trump.
Shack and the Catholic Church.
Surely not Trump's. No, they wouldn't be in the system. That's heresy. Okay. Yeah, all right. You're looking. Yeah, okay.
Florida man running from cops stops to pet cats, goes to jail.
There you go.
That's that Florida man.
Cats will trip you up every time, man. Congratulations.
God dang it.
Oh, that last one was too hairy. That one, I can't look at that.
Florida woman tries to smuggle synthetic weed and vagina into jail.
I remember that one.
Oh my god. Okay, thank you for that. Who is this coming from? Is this you, Jason?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Don't let your...
Wow.
Wait, this one looks clean. Is there something I'm not seeing?
Holy shit.
Hold on. I ended it too soon.
Oh, could you? Oi. What is they to have is the old.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is a terms of service violation at this point.
Yeah, that's too much.
Hello,
Okay, I think we got that one. All right. Well, actually, I think I need to go. It is late. But this was a very enjoyable Florida Man segment. Thank you all for your.
I don't know. I've got one that I just found, and I don't know if this is necessarily a Florida anything story. Maybe it is. House passes Tiger King bill to ban private ownership of big cats.
Well, there you go. Wasn't in Florida though, was he?
Now he got to rely on his cocaine.
I need to claim my steak dinner from Joe Diaz for watching that insane first episode of.
Oh, you finally watched it?
I finally watched it.
Oh, you did?
I did, and it was. Let's just say it was plenty.
No, it wasn't. You
watch them all.
You gotta watch them all so you can watch the Ghost Adventure special of the Tiger King Zoo.
No.
Yes.
Adventure special.
Oh my god!
Because apparently the zoo is haunted by the ghost of by the ghost of his former dead suicide lover.
And how many and all the cats that no doubt died there.
No doubt. Oy.
Okay. So I found the thing before we go. Florida man hits police officer with a shovel, steals his car to escape, causes 4-car pileup, is rearrested.
There you go, kids. Don't be like Florida man.
Nope.
Well, I'm spent.
Alrighty. Yeah,
All
but
right. Oh. All right, Adam. Thanks again for joining us.
Pancake and a
You're very
smoke.
welcome.
Thank you very much for the follow on Twitch.
Indeed.
yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
better
good night,
follow back.
everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you around the chat and, of course, on the Super Geeks webpage. And then back next Friday to
Alrighty.
talk more. All
And
right.
don't forget to be lewd.
All right.
Alrighty. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.
All right.